Episode 131. Is Jennifer a man or a woman? Don't overthink it. He did that because of me. You should thank me, said Aaron blandly. And Richard, the goal of our company this year will be focused on the TV and film industry. I'll destroy Isaac. Last time I told you to purchase a film company. How's it going? I'm targeting Regalia Film. That company has a good producing group and has produced quite some high-rating TV films and series. Last year they invested over $1 billion on a TV series, but because of the changes of the policy and some negative news regarding the leading female actress, the series hasn't aired yet. Due to that reason, the company suffered heavy losses. However, many companies now have their eyes on Regalia Film, and one of them is, Richard paused briefly, glancing at April before continuing, is the Davidson Group. April frowned, saying, I know Regalia Film. I used to do voice acting for Jennifer from that company. Yeah, before Jennifer Atkinson was just a B-list actress, but these days, Regalia has made her a star. Richard paused again and said, I heard that she's got some issues with Rosaria. Their fans often attack each other online. Regalia has a few popular actors and actresses. If they weren't in debt, they would never become like this. Many people want to purchase their company, and the Davidson Group is our biggest competitor. Isaac is really ambitious, Aaron sneered, but I won't let him get what he wants. From this day on, collect all the information about Regalia. We will buy it. I think I can help, said April abruptly. Jennifer and I are actually friends. Aaron's face instantly darkened as he asked, Is Jennifer a man or a woman? April was speechless. Didn't you hear me say that she was an actress? Says Richard. Hearing that, Aaron's expression lightened up, and he said, Yes, I'm not interested in actresses, so I didn't listen carefully. April rolled her eyes. Richard rubbed his forehead. Aaron just wouldn't miss any chance to depreciate Isaac. I haven't talked to Jennifer in 2 years, so I don't know if she's changed or not, said April. When she was an unknown actress, she was cheerful and optimistic. She was the nicest actress I've ever met. She was nice and caring to everyone. After my dad went to prison, I couldn't find a job, but she reached out to me and invited me to do voice acting for her new series. Sadly, her manager and company strongly disagreed because they didn't want to go against Isaac. I didn't want to put her in a difficult position either, so I refused her kindness. You don't find a lot of people like that in the film and television circle, Richard nodded and said. Now, Jennifer is the most popular actress in Regalia, so I guess her words mean something to the company now. With her help, we'll get twice the result with half the effort. But we don't know if she's still a nice person. After all, the circle can change people a lot. We can try. Let me meet her. April glanced at Aaron. Aaron frowned, thought for a few seconds, and then asked, Does Jennifer have a boyfriend? Richard and April were both startled. They shook their heads. No, there was periods of gossip, but they were baseless rumors, nothing more. She isn't gay, is she? Aaron asked pointedly. April wanted to break down. No, she's definitely not. You aren't familiar with her. Why do you sound so sure? Aaron said as he fiddled with the chopsticks in his hand. April was tired. Richard rolled his eyes. You're paranoid about both men and women? Aren't you tired? Even if you aren't, I feel tired for April. It was you who told me that many women are gay now. Now, not only do I have to be wary of women, I also have to be wary of men. It's tiring. Aaron looked at Richard. Didn't you once say so? Richard nodded relentingly. Yes, you didn't miss a word. If Jennifer isn't a lesbian, we'll find a time for you to meet with her. If she isn't willing to help, it doesn't matter. Anyways, I've never failed to accomplish what I want to. Aaron had a solemn expression. When we eventually ruin Isaac, you'll have to reward me, and the reward is dedicating yourself in entirety to me. Richard was sipping water when he heard this, and he had spat it all out. April's face turned red hot. She wanted to bury herself in the ground right then and there. All right, I know you're embarrassed. After all, there's a third wheel in here. Aaron stroked her head gently. You can do it. After all, Richie only pushed Rosaria into the pool, and you are already kissing and feeding him. Let's eat. April picked up a piece of cod to stuff his mouth shut. Richard looked at the two of them and felt how excessive his presence was. Somehow, however, there was some joy in being their third wheel. After eating, Aaron arranged for Marvin to send April back to the villa before heading back to the office with Richard. On the way, he received a call from Sylvia.
Brother, the boss of the events company which set up the stage declared that it was an act of negligence on their part. They insist that no one had told them to say so, and they were willing to pay $3 million in compensation.
Aaron laughed coldly. $3 million? Are you dismissing me as a beggar? Furthermore, how is it possible for such a small company to come up with $3 million willingly? I don't believe that there's someone behind this. Sylvia sighed.
They admitted that you're not of ordinary status and that they cannot possibly win in court against you, so they'd rather concede defeat. However, they do not have $5 million currently. $3 million is all they can offer. There's one more thing. My superiors have told me to close the case. Grandfather pulled some strings.
Looks like my hunch was right. All right, close the case. I have 10,000 ways to make things square with Marianne, Aaron said before hanging up. Was it really Marianne? Richard fumed. That girl was a pretty thing, too. How'd she turn so vicious? The two of them were even roommates and good friends. Pretty thing? Aaron shot him a look. Your taste is not too good. Richard was silent for a while. Soon he could not help but ask, how will you settle and make things square? I have 10,000 ways, but I already know which one is best, Aaron said coldly, fiddling with his handphone. Episode 132. If you want grandchildren, you'll have to accept her. Not long after Aaron returned to his office, he got a call from Caitlin. What's this about? He asked.
What do you think?
Hearing his words, Caitlin felt so annoyed. Aaron was her son, but he had always been so different from her. The older he got, the harder it was for her to control him.
Your grand-aunt called me crying on the phone. She told me that you don't respect her family.
She's my aunt after all. Are you aware that you've put me in a difficult and embarrassing situation? They didn't admit to what Marianne did, but since they've talked to Grandpa, I assume you know that already, said Aaron blandly. When I was a child, didn't you tell me that we couldn't take advantage of our wealth to bully others? I've always been a self-disciplined person. What did they do? Caitlin didn't know how to respond. A while later, she said,
There are always some relatives who are not decent enough, but you can't treat them like that. Your grandmother is not young anymore, and your grandaunt is her only sister. Don't make her angry.
All right, I know your grandpa wants this to stop, but you might not be willing to drop it.
Listen to me. This ends here. $3 million will be enough to compensate that girl. I heard she's not...
She'll never be short of money since she has met me, Aaron interrupted her. Once again, Caitlin didn't know what to say. Enough. I've heard of her background. She can be your girlfriend, but marrying a person with that kind of family background will get you into trouble. If you want grandchildren, you'll have to accept her, he said. Caitlin was puzzled at first and then asked, What do you mean? Because my body only reacts to her, said Aaron in a proud tone. Haven't you recovered long ago? Didn't your body react to April earlier? Asked Caitlin. Yes, my girlfriend is April, Aaron smiled and said. I ran into her recently and learned that she's only 22. Earlier, she worked for me to earn money for college. We can't say that she's a bad person because of what her father did. And you can't stop me, or you'll never have grandchildren. You didn't even touch another woman during the past year and a half, did you? Caitlin pointed out the truth. You know that I'm a clean freak, Aaron said with a deep voice. I finally met someone that I like. The others can try and stop me, but not you. Caitlin fell in silence. Come and meet April when you have time. I don't want to deal with any cliched mother and daughter-in-law problems. After saying that, Aaron ended the call. Back in the villa, April was trimming vegetables and chatting with Sister Emily. You haven't recovered yet. Who asked you to do the chores? Aaron unhappily carried her onto the couch. I'm bored here, so I want to find something to do, said April. Don't hold me like that. You made me dizzy. You held me last night. I'm just paying you back. Aaron gave a faint smile. April wore a dark face, saying, When did I hold you? I'm warning you, you're not allowed to come into my room tonight. If you do it again, I'll go back to my dorm. Aaron opened his mouth to say something, but she didn't let him. Don't tell me that I haven't recovered yet and that I need someone to look after me, she said. I'm almost completely healed. I've made my decision, so whatever you say, I won't change my mind. All right? Seeing the situation at hand, Aaron could only furrow his eyebrows and change the topic. Regarding the stage collapse, we've reached a conclusion. They will pay a compensation of $3 million. $3 million? April was stunned. Am I dreaming? I get $3 million just for falling into water? This fortune has come too easily. Aaron wore a solemn expression, noticing for the first time that she was so money-minded. Is it worth putting your bodily health at risk for $3 million? If you like money, just tell me. I will give you whatever you want. If you give your body to me, I'll give you the entire company. April was horrified. Her body was too valuable. But the events company seems so willing to compensate me. It seems too suspicious. It is highly likely that Marianne was responsible, Aaron said frankly. My grandfather got his contacts to close the case. I'm not in a good position to challenge him. After all, he is already so old. I hope you can understand. Of course I understand, April nodded. She had long guessed as much. After all, Marianne was family, and it was only because of Aaron that she would be getting $3 million. If not for her, it was likely that she would not be able to get any compensation at all. She might have even met with more dire consequences. However, we can't just let things be. I've thought of a plan to deal with Marianne. Come with me tomorrow morning. I'll show you, Aaron added. April wanted to laugh and cry at the same time. Didn't he just say that he did not want to challenge his grandfather? I have a class tomorrow morning. I've been postponing it for days. I cannot postpone it any further. But what are you planning to do? I'm not saying. If I do, then it'll be pointless. Aaron glanced at his watch. It's 4:30 p.m. now. We can also do it at night. It'll be pretty exciting. He stood up to make a phone call. Instinctively, April felt a little sympathy for Marianne. To be taught a lesson by someone as mysterious as Aaron, one would never be able to predict his next course of action. After making the call, he told Sister Emily to prepare dinner earlier at 5:30. After they had finished eating, he drove the both of them out. He drove straight towards the outskirts of town, towards Mount Yorkle. Mount Yorkle was only recently opened to the public as an attraction for the people in the city. There was water rafting, a water theme park, and bungee jumping. It was late and the attractions had been closed. Although there were lamps lining the streets, it was still dark. What are you planning to do here? We're nearly there. Aaron drove all the way to the summit. At the summit, there was a bridge linking Mount Yorkle to the opposite mountain. Aaron parked the car, got out, and helped April to open her door. He then dragged her towards the direction of the bridge. At the entrance to the bridge was Marianne being surrounded by two big burly men. Marvin was standing at one side with sympathy etched in his gaze. Real, why did you make Brother Aaron bring me here? Marianne was desperate. She was returning home in the evening when she was taken away by force by Marvin at her own gate. Her hand phone was also taken away on the drive here, leaving her with no way of contacting her family. She suspected that the crazy Aaron was about to throw her off the mountain. April scowled. Since she knew Marianne had schemed against her, there was no point in playing pretend. I don't know. Will, please, ask Brother Aaron to let me go. I know he's upset that you had an accident at my place, but it had nothing to do with me. The events company is also willing to compensate you with $3 million. Marianne pleaded pitifully. Brother Aaron, I'm your sister, after all. Episode 133. Rosaria said that. Yes, I know that you're my cousin, so I took you here to experience bungee jumping. Aaron dropped April's hand and smilingly walked over to Marianne's side, patted her on the shoulder, and said, Relax. I won't make you jump for long. Only 10 times. You like getting people down in the water, so I figured you'd like bungee jumping, too. April's mouth corners twitched slightly. She remembered that Marianne didn't even dare ride a roller coaster, yet he wanted her to bungee jump at night 10 times in a row. This was a really cruel idea. However, she felt a little delighted. Marianne kneeled on the ground, crying, Aaron, I've never bungee jumped before. I can't do it. I'll die. Her face paled as she grabbed Aaron's trousers and said, If anything happened to me, Grandma won't forgive you. And I didn't do what you said I did. You can't treat me like this. April and I are good friends. Rill? She turned to April and continued, We're friends, aren't we? If you're my friend, why did you try to hurt me? April couldn't stand the fact that Marianne was still pretending, so she said, You asked me to be the MC of your birthday party because you wanted me to be embarrassed in public, right? We're roommates, after all. We don't live together every day like me, Annie, and Winnie, but we often have meals together and we chat a lot. Why do you have to be such a two-faced person? It's because Ryan and I are friends? I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do it, Marianne denied firmly. If she admitted to it, she would suffer even worse tonight. Last night, you and your mother visited my grandpa, said Aaron coldly. And this morning, my grandfather called me and told me he learned of April's true identity. I've asked everyone in the Morrison family. Some people told me that after having a conversation with you, my grandpa has been in a bad mood. I don't want to listen to your explanation anymore. Just tell me who you told about April's real identity. If you do what I say, I might show some mercy. What identity? I have no idea. Marianne kept pretending. Does she have another identity? Take her to jump. Aaron lost his patience. Two strong men dragged her toward the bridge. It's Rosaria. Rosaria told me that. Please don't make me jump. Marianne's screams echoed through the night sky. Too late, said Aaron. Aaron, no! Marianne burst into cries. April found her screams terribly annoying, but didn't plan to intercede with Aaron for her. If you want to be mean, you should stay mean. Why did you pretend? Being a friend with me while trying to hurt me? You're just like Rosaria. Bungee jumping wouldn't hurt her or kill her. It'd only scare her. It was late at night, and the area under the bridge was occupied by darkness. Jumping down the bridge would feel like jumping into hell, a bottomless darkness. April felt that Aaron could really be a cruel avenger. Jumping during the daytime was still acceptable, but at night it would become horrible as nothing could be seen. On the mountaintop, Marianne lay on the bridge and refused to jump at first. At last, Marvin pushed her down. Her cries and screams echoed. No one would take notice anyway. After all, few were able to keep themselves from screaming while bungee jumping. After some time, the screams subsided. Perhaps she was tired of screaming. After 10 minutes, there was nothing but silence. April started to feel fearful. She remembered how on the television she had heard of people being scared to their deaths while bungee jumping. Aaron, however, was calm. He returned to the car to retrieve a flask of warm water for April. It's cold up here. Have some warm water. April wanted to faint. She was in no mood to drink water now. Will she be in danger? Nope. Haven't you heard? Scum live long lives, Aaron replied nonchalantly. Scum like her could probably live on for several decades, even if paralyzed. April was speechless. How vicious. Mr. Bennett, Miss Marianne has fainted. Marvin walked over. Should we continue? How lame she fainted so quickly. Aaron massaged April's shoulders. Forget it. There's no point if she's unconscious. Let's call it a day. The winds up here are strong. April glanced at the unconscious Marianne and thought to herself, if she was the one bungee jumping today, she would have fainted as well. On their road back to the city, April looked at the handsome silhouette of the man focused on driving the car. She could not help but reach out for his elbow, saying gently, Aaron, thank you. Ever since my dad was imprisoned, I've always suffered in silence and endured. It's been long since someone has been so good to me, and it's been a long time since I felt as carefree as today. Aaron turned to glance at her. He thought of what Richard said before, that she had been bullied endlessly in Lukesville. He thought of how she was forced to abandon her home, and his heart ached. No matter, from today onwards, you will not need to suffer in silence again. You will do whatever you want to do. With me behind you, I'll deal with any rotten apple in your way. There's just one thing. Do not learn from Marianne. You should only bully those who deserve it. What kind of a person do you think I am? April gave him a peck on his cheek, saying gently again, Thank you. I really, really like you. When she first decided to be with him, it was infatuation. However, this time, after her accident, he found out all about her. But instead of abandoning her and looking down upon her like others would, he still protected her and retaliated against whoever tried to bully her. He never let her lose her own dignity. Even though he had some ridiculous characteristics of his own and had some weird quirks which compelled her to give him a good beating, she had slowly and unknowingly become deeply moved by him and had grown to like him even more. Aaron's hand trembled on the steering wheel, his face turning ever so slightly red. He reached out with his other hand to hold her. No fooling around when I'm driving. It's not safe. Why do you say you like me? I want to hear you say that you love me. He would not accept like because it was love that she had for Isaac. Haven't you heard the saying, to love is to like deeply? April withdrew her hand, looked down and fiddled with her fingers, saying shyly. Aaron froze momentarily, mouthing the words over and over. To love is to like deeply. To love is to like deeply. As he mouthed the words, he felt fireworks being set off in his heart. It was an incomparable sweetness, bliss. Never had the word like sounded so beautiful, so lovely. Episode 134. Listen, I like you too very much. Apricot, listen. I like you too. I like you very much. Aaron's smile grew wider and wider. At last, he pressed on the brakes and pulled over. It was the first time he had told her his feelings. April was still immersed in his straightforward words. As he suddenly stopped the car, she was startled, so she asked, What are you doing? Gazing at his dimly glowing eyes, April's heart raced. I want a kiss. Aaron quickly jumped into action. He pressed his lips against hers and pressed April's upper body into the front seat. He breathed quickly and heavily to express his passion and excitement. If he didn't worry about how she might faint again, he would have kissed her like a thunderstorm. Their hearts had never been so close to each other. April put her arms around him. For the very first time, they clearly told each other how they felt. Before, April always felt that the extremely narcissistic Aaron decided to start a relationship with her because she had refused him and that it had frustrated him. He never said that he liked her, so she wasn't sure. Now, hearing the words escape his mouth, her heart was soft and warm. When he kissed her, her entire body was filled with sweetness. Aaron invaded her mouth, kissing her hard until her wheezes echoed in the car. He was satisfied, but the satisfaction brought him a deeper pain. The pain made him kiss her again and again. April was melting into his kisses. Her body became a puddle and her face blushed beautifully. Heavy breaths could be heard from the spacious car. Aaron's hands were freed. The last time he kissed her impatiently like a young boy, but this time he was feeling her lips carefully. As soon as he started sweating, a car horn was suddenly heard. Marvin opened his car window, pulled over, and asked, "What happened, Mr. Bennett? Did the car break down?" Aaron and April paused. Immediately, April felt that all her blood had gushed into her head and that her head was smoky. If she could crawl under the car, she would. It had just been a short while, yet her bra had dropped to her waist, unfastened. She couldn't complain at that moment, though, as she worried that Marvin might hear her. If that happened, she would feel even more embarrassed. "No, I'm talking with April. You go first," Aaron said with a deep and calm voice. "All right, Mr. Bennett. Don't linger too long in the mountains." Marvin started the car and drove away. After that, the blushing April hurriedly pushed Aaron away. She felt lucky as the light in the car was off, otherwise she wouldn't know how to face him. More embarrassingly, how should she put her bra back on right in front of him? Then at that moment the light turned on. "Why did you turn the light on?" asked April shamefully and angrily. "You need to dress yourself. I want you to be able to see." Aaron didn't mention her bra directly as he worried that she might feel shy. "Thank you, really," April said through clenched teeth. She wanted to cry. "Just put it on." Aaron looked at her. Her large eyes were still misty because of the kissing and her lips were red. Her shirt was halfway unbuttoned, making her look so tempting. "If you don't know how, I can help you." "I don't want your help. How could you even mention it?" she asked. This was beyond her tolerance. "Who allowed you to undo my bra? You did it so quickly. Tell me, how many bras have you undone before?" "I did not." Aaron's lips curled into a grin and reached out to pinch her nose affectionately. "You're jealous. I don't know what to do. You women are always jealous, so what's so great about being jealous?" April had little energy to protest. As if he was not a jealous man, he was obviously more jealous than anyone else. "Don't you know how intelligent I am? To someone like me, unbuttoning a shirt is the simplest of things. Of course, if you don't believe me, I can prove myself by unbuttoning all your clothes in half a minute," Aaron said gleefully. "Enough." April sunk into the corner of her seat subconsciously. "I believe you. Let's go." She strongly suspected that there would come a day she would be driven mad by him. She was always deeply moved and touched by him in one moment, and then infuriated to the point of wanting to beat him up in the next. No wonder it is said that relationships are a love-hate affair. They reached the villa at 8:30 p.m. Then Aaron received a call from Esther.
"Wow, how shameless. How typical of you to not even spare a thought for me as your grandmother." Esther was enraged. "What did you do to Marianne? Your aunt called over to tell me that she has only been crying and crying since she returned home. You've scared the wits out of her."
"Grandmother, your words are too harsh," Aaron said plainly. "Tell Auntie for me I only wanted to bring Marianne for some fun at the theme park, for some bungee jumping to help foster a stronger relationship between us as relatives. What's there to cry about?"
"Bungee?"
Esther was shaken with fury.
"Can bungee scare someone so badly? Furthermore, Marianne has always been timid. You still brought her to do bungee jumping? Were you intentionally trying to scare her?"
"Firstly, I don't think she is a timid person. Secondly, bungee jumping is a recreational activity. If other women can do it, why can't she as well? You'll have to advise Auntie properly on this. Looks like she's been too sheltered all her life. Take a look at Sylvia for comparison. With such a prominent status, she still engages in all sorts of activities in the theme park. I took her out for some fun because I think well of her. Additionally, bungee jumping has plenty of benefits for one's health. You can check the internet if you don't believe me. First, it can help to build one's courage and willpower. Second, it can also raise her heart rate and boost her immunity. If I really wanted to hurt her, would I have made her do some warm-up exercises to prevent her from injuring her joints? You scolded me without even finding out the truth. It's unreasonable. I guess the Flanders family is more precious to you.
You. No good. I can't win this argument.
Esther could feel her chest throbbing in anger. That's because I'm speaking sense, Erin said. Yes, help me let Marianne know to study hard and to be an honest person. If not, the next time I'll bring her skydiving.
As you say that you're not threatening anyone.
You're wrongly accusing again. I'm just helping the Flanders family educate her. Look at how outstanding Sylvia and I are. I hope that Marianne can be just like us, making contributions to our homeland. All right, I'm tired from bungee jumping too. I'll go to bed first, Erin said before he hung up. April heard the entire conversation sitting beside him. She could imagine how infuriated his grandmother must have been. It's a pity that you didn't become a lawyer. Erin shot her a curious look. Any job would suit a person like me. April rolled her eyes, but she was tickled. I'm going to bed. She turned and walked towards her room. At the door, she realized that Erin was following her from behind. What are you doing? I already said I don't need your protection tonight. Go back to your own room. April glared at him cautiously. Episode 135. Sleep in Erin's bedroom. April, I don't think that's appropriate. We just told each other about our feelings, so I think now we should stick together. Erin didn't lower his voice at all. Sister Emily, who was passing by, gave him a glance and then covered her mouth and chuckled. Who would want to share a room with you? The blushing April slammed the door. Erin rubbed his nose, then turned and said to Sister Emily in a low voice, Give me the key. I don't think so. Sister Emily wasn't sure if she should do what he said. What are you thinking? You think I'll come in? Erin looked at her with dislike. Sister Emily, you're old, but you have a dirty mind. Young master, do you have any sense of shame at all? All right, I have a dirty mind. Stay away from that room tonight if you can. The grumpy Sister Emily found the key and gave it to him. Flipping the key, Erin went upstairs. The next day, April woke up to find that she was lying right next to a warm body. What made her even angrier was that Erin had even taken off his top. He was only wearing pajama pants, and his arm was wrapped tightly around her waist. Because of her former experience, April wasn't shocked this time. She was just surprised because she wasn't in the guest room downstairs. Instead, she was sleeping in Erin's bedroom. She really couldn't stand this. She elbowed Erin's chest hard, sat up, and angrily gave him a kick. However, once her feet touched his body, he grabbed it. Let go of me, you sneaky man. Don't tell me that this time I snuck into your room and climbed into your bed. The angry April puffed her cheeks. Erin sat up with sleepy eyes. His bare upper body was muscular, and his perfect abdominal muscles were ravishing. Seeing this charming scene, April felt a little thirsty. She didn't know what happened to her recently. She was familiar with his body because last year she cleaned it every single day. But recently, every time she saw his body, she would blush and feel shy. Her shyness didn't last long because she heard a few words that made her so angry escape the man's sexy thin lips. You just told the truth, he said. Erin picked up the pajamas by the bed and slowly put it on. While buttoning it up, he raised his eyelids and his butterfly wing-like eyelashes and said, Don't blame me this time. You locked your door from the inside last night, so what could I possibly do? April's face darkened. This is your villa. You have the key, she said. I don't know. I haven't seen the key after furnishing it, he said carelessly. If you don't want to admit that you came into my bed, you can say that you were sleepwalking. Sleepwalking? As if. She rubbed her forehead. She constantly felt dizzy these days, and the bed was very comfortable, so she slept strangely well. Whatever, I'm going back to school today. Angrily, she went downstairs. Sister Emily was cleaning the floor. Seeing April and Erin coming downstairs together, she staggered and said, Young master, Rill, you... April stomped her foot against the floor and said, Sister Emily, does he have the key to my room? Why was I upstairs this morning? I said she was sleepwalking, but she didn't believe me, Erin added. Seeing the proud and bland face of her young master, Sister Emily repeated the word shameless in her head about 10,000 times. How on earth did you become so shameless? And yet you said that I have a dirty mind? She wouldn't expose her master for the sake of her livelihood. I don't think so. Young master doesn't have the key, and neither do I. Erin looked at Sister Emily satisfactorily. He found her extremely capable these days. He would give her a pay raise, all of them. April was frustrated and speechless. Forget it. Sister Emily was his helper. They were all in cahoots. After breakfast, Erin drove April to school himself. If Isaac or Rosaria comes looking for trouble, give me a call immediately, he reminded her anxiously. Don't be worried. I'll keep Isaac busy for another couple of years. I'm working on Rosaria as well. What are you going to do? April was full of curiosity. Don't you know me? I love to give an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Aaron raised his brows and grinned. So are you going to compete for Isaac's favor? Aaron widened his eyes, his words stuck in his throat. April giggled before planting a peck on his cheek. She got off the car and ran off to class. That little brat. She loved kissing him now. In her classroom, all her classmates were looking at her curiously the moment she walked in. She wasn't surprised. Many of them were there that day at the party as well. They must have all heard about the incident. Rill, why are you already back in school? You should take a few days off to rest, Yolanda Jenner said. I'm okay now, April said. She then found a seat and sat herself down. Yeah, you look all right now. Too bad for the Flanders family. They were kind to invite you to the party. You, on the other hand, are suing them for compensation. Don't let the fact that you've got a rich boyfriend get to your head, Madison Martin said sarcastically. When did I request for the Flanders family to compensate me? April frowned and looked at her coldly. I'm suing the company who built that platform that day. How can a company like that have any money? Flanders family is the one who settled the bill for them, obviously. They must have felt bad about the incident and didn't want to blow things up. That's why they offered $2 million. Madison smirked. I've got insider information about the case. You're so vicious, April, going after your good friend like that. Things were starting to make sense. Marianne must have been spreading rumors about her. She should have been left hanging on that bridge. I'm glad you know that my boyfriend is rich and powerful. Even the Flanders family is intimidated by him. I hope you watch yourself and watch what you say in front of me. I can't guarantee that he won't come after you as well. April looked at her nonchalantly. She found herself acting more and more like Aaron all of a sudden. Madison's mouth twitched, but she eventually walked away sulkily. After class, April went back to the hostel and Annie was sitting on the bed on the phone. When she saw April walk in, she whispered in her phone, Don't worry, it'll be all right. Something came up, I have to go. You're missing Professor Sandler's class? April asked casually. I went to visit Marianne. She was hospitalized last night. Annie sat up straight and looked at her with a frown. April, don't you think you crossed the line? How could you do that to Marianne? She doesn't even get on the roller coaster when we go to amusement parks. She was nearly scared to death back there. Episode 136. She'll definitely make Aaron break up with you. Annie said confidently, I did. I told a few good friends of mine. I didn't cook up stories and spread them around. That's the truth. What happened to you was an accident. Isn't $3 million enough? I wish it was me who fell into the water because that money would save me from years of effort. April shook her head. Annie wasn't evil, but sometimes she talked and did things without thinking, and she loved kissing up to Marianne. Ever since she got close with Marianne, she started to change, and now she had been brainwashed by Marianne. Thankfully, April never saw Annie as a friend. April wouldn't be sad because of it, but she was a little disappointed. Don't you know your friends can't keep their mouths shut? You were defaming me, said April. If I really wanted to defame you, I'd have told the others that you're the daughter of that president who molested his student. Annie abruptly stood up, her eyes showing distaste. I asked you the question the day you came. You said that you were not April Eisenberg, and we all believed you. Of course, I believe her more, comparing your family background with Marianne's. April's pupils shrank, asking, Did Marianne tell you that? Marianne told me not to tell anyone about it. We're roommates after all, but I didn't think you were so mean, said Annie. Do you think you can do whatever you want because Aaron is helping you? No matter what, Marianne is still the niece of the chairman of YCC Group. Earlier, when I visited her, the chairwoman was there too. She said so herself that she'll definitely make Aaron break up with you. April now felt that she had really underestimated Marianne. Annie, sometimes what you heard from others and saw isn't the truth, said Winnie. What's really important is your feelings. April has lived together with us for quite a long time. We share one room and we spend time together every day. Wouldn't you know if she's good or evil? Can't you feel it? I know because we spent time together every day, said Annie. Has she ever shared her resources with us? Did we know when she met her boyfriend? She told us that she wasn't interested in men, yet she became friends with Brian and kept it a secret from us. And that night when she fell into the water, did you see Mr. Davidson from the Davidson Group risk his own life to save her? Marianne and Rosaria are friends. Marianne told me that April worked for Isaac because she wanted to hook up with him and she wanted to sign a contract with a film company. She's so scheming that even Mr. Bennett is now fooled by her. April laughed. I didn't know that I was so capable, she said. Stop pretending, Annie said, then turned to Winnie and continued. You've been close with her recently. You need to know that she moved into our dorm later than us, and I've told you about who her father is. The news hasn't spread yet, but if our schoolmates learned about it, you'd be dragged into the trouble too. She's the daughter of a molester. Back then, the whole country was buzzing with the news. It was in the headlines, and the provincial leaders criticized her father themselves. We should let her move out of the dorm so she won't bring us both trouble. April silently turned to Winnie. She didn't care what the others said, but she cared about Winnie's feelings. Winnie frowned and said, Annie, stop it. Many people go to prison every day for murder, arson, robbery, or other crimes. But are their children automatically all bad people? The law won't punish a whole family for what one person did. In fact, don't say anything further. April and I have decided to move out together. Annie was shocked, but she nodded her head. I understand. I heard that Aaron is helping you with your career at Marianne's company. You can't afford to offend April right now. You stole the lead of the Christmas musical from Marianne, and now you want to steal all of hers. Annie, stop talking about Marianne. You should grow a brain of your own, Winnie said angrily. Well, let's pack. I found an apartment. Yeah? April felt the warmth of their friendship and started looking for boxes to store her things. Annie glared at them both before she got up and left the room. April sighed before looking back at Winnie. She felt conflicted. Winnie, aren't you afraid that I'm going to drag you down? What's there to be afraid of? Winnie said. She continued sadly. When I was in primary school, I had a good friend whom I played with often. She wasn't the prettiest, and her family wasn't well off, so our classmates often teased and bullied her. Gradually, they started looking at me funny as well. I was so young and I didn't know better, so I distanced myself from her due to my own vanity and superficial pride. In the end, she suffered from clinical depression and committed suicide. Although she was resuscitated at the hospital, she eventually dropped out of school and left the city. April was shocked after hearing her story and could hear Winnie's voice trembling. I regretted it, Winnie continued. She treated me like a good friend, but I didn't return her affections. I would never forget the look of disappointment in her eyes when we met for the last time. I told myself from then on never to treat my good friends that way again. I shall not be swayed by the opinion of the crowd and steady my heart. If only I had given her a bit more concern and care, she wouldn't have been put in danger. Yeah, I had considered killing myself before, but I was too cowardly to go through with it, April said empathetically. I will not let those people who hurt me live life comfortably. I will not give them the chance to rejoice over my death. Win, it's not that I don't want to tell you, I'm just afraid for you. I hope you can understand. Not all my friends cut off ties with me when it happened then, but the talk and voices of gossip were too loud. A lot of them didn't dare to walk in my company. One day, if you can't stand it anymore, just tell me. Don't be so pessimistic. Mr. Bennett is around. He wouldn't allow that day to come. Winnie smiled and patted her shoulder. Come on, let's pack. By noon, the two of them had packed everything, and they had hailed a taxi after class ended. When they were in the taxi, Aaron called.
What are you doing?
I'm moving.
Why didn't you tell me?
Aaron's voice was raised by an octave.
You should let me handle these things, even if you are as strong as a bull. You have to allow me an opportunity to prove myself.
He was shouting over the phone. Winnie could hear him, even though he wasn't on speaker. April felt the taxi driver look at her in the rearview mirror with a strange look. She blushed and lowered the volume. I don't have much with me, just 2 suitcases.
Why do you have so little things? That can't be right. I'll buy you some clothes and shoes later,
Aaron said grumpily.
My woman must have at least 10 suitcases when she shifts house. Give me the address. I'm coming over to see if the neighborhood is safe,
Aaron commanded. April sighed and gave him the address. Episode 137. The bed is too small. The apartment was about a 10-minute drive away from school. It was an elevator apartment with 2 bedrooms and a living room. It wasn't exquisitely decorated, but it was tidy and cozy. This is expensive, isn't it? April liked the apartment, but she still hesitated because of the price. $2,000 per month is expensive indeed. However, I signed a contract with a company already, so I'm way richer than before. Also, you have $3 million, so we can totally afford this, Winnie chuckled and said. Finally, we don't need to live in that tiny dorm room anymore. Yeah. April looked around, liking the place more and more. Later, let's buy some food and cook ourselves a nice dinner to celebrate our moving in. Sounds nice. Winnie's eyes glowed. Once she finished talking, the doorbell rang. Hearing that, she winked at April and said, I think it's Mr. Bennett. April opened the door and saw Aaron and Marvin both in business suits. She guessed they had just gotten out of work. You opened the door so quickly, you didn't even try to see us through the peephole, did you? Aaron asked, his handsome face wearing a serious look. It requires a password to enter this building, but as you are two girls, you need to stay alert. Don't open the door for strangers. April nodded. Aaron sounded serious but caring, reminding her of her father. Hearing his words, she wanted to hug him so very tightly with affection. Especially you, Aaron continued. Isaac, the pervert, might come here to find you. He sighed and continued. You living here alone really makes me worry. I think you should just live in the villa with me. I'm young. I haven't finished school yet. I don't want to limit myself by living together with you so early, said April. She knew that Aaron would try whatever he could do to make her sleep in the same bed with him, so she didn't dare live in the villa with him. How am I limiting you? I'm letting you do whatever you want, Aaron snorted, then stepped into the apartment and looked around. It's not even as big as my bathroom, but it's clean and not too bad. Both April and Winnie didn't know what to say. Marvin was speechless as well. Aaron rested his hands in his pockets, looked around again, and then said to April, You take the master bedroom. The second room is too small. If I come here to live with you, I wouldn't even be able to turn around in that room. April blushed. She wanted to hide herself in a hole. She couldn't believe he said that in front of Winnie and Marvin. That's not going to happen. I won't let you live here, she said. Aaron frowned and then said, Do you mean you'll still go to the villa when you want to live with me? That's good. Sighing, April said, Winnie and I are renting this apartment together, so I'll have to ask Winnie first. Winnie, April will take the master room. Are you okay with it? Aaron immediately turned to look at Winnie with a meaningful expression. Under his intense gaze, Winnie's legs softened a little. Of course, she said. I've been quite busy recently as I need to go to school and the company, so it's okay for me to take the smaller room. You see, she agrees. Aaron raised his brows and looked at April. April didn't know what to say. You were staring at her with a dangerous look. What else could she possibly say? But the bed is too small. In some particular cases, I might need to stay over here, but this bed isn't big enough for two people to do some larger movements, murmured Aaron. Hearing that, Marvin and Winnie wanted to deafen themselves. Mr. Bennett said that in such a direct way he truly had no filter. They thought in unison. April wanted to cry, but failed to shed any tears. She really shouldn't have given Aaron the address. Marvin, go order a bed now. Hurry up. Send it over by tonight, Aaron instructed. Buy one for Winnie, too. Let's change it all. Okay? Marvin heaved a sigh of relief. He could finally take his leave now. I'm going next door to pack. Winnie excused herself and carried her luggage to another room. After they both left, April gritted her teeth and whispered, Can you please not say these sorts of things again in front of the other people? Matters of the bedroom and such? Vigorous activities? Aren't you being too shameless? Aaron was shocked. I thought I was already being subtle when I said that. I knew you were going to be embarrassed. If I was going to be direct, you would have buried yourself in a hole. April was taken aback. Thank goodness that he was being subtle then. I'll help you unpack. Aaron opened one of her suitcases. It's all right, I can do it by myself. Before she could refuse, her lingerie had all spilled out. She blushed a deep red and grabbed her things from him. Go unpack another suitcase. Really, your intimates are all too monotonous. Also nude. Light pink. I think you can try other colors. Aaron raised his head. When are you free? Let's go get some together. We're still at the end of summer. All my clothes are thin. I must wear lighter colors so it doesn't show underneath my clothes. April was frustrated. Thanks, but no thanks. I don't need you to buy lingerie with me. I will buy them myself if I need to. No way would she let him go to the lingerie shops with her. He would surely embarrass her to no end. If you don't want my company, then I'll just give you a red packet for you to get them yourself. Don't refuse me. It's my duty as a man to buy lingerie for my woman. I have too much money anyway. If you don't spend it for me, when will I ever finish spending it? Aaron pulled out his phone to send her a red packet. April heard her phone buzz multiple times and glanced at the screen. There were notifications of multiple wire transfers. That's enough. She reached out to stop him. He looked at her and shrugged before keeping his phone. He was frustrated at times when his woman refused to spend his money. When would he ever finish spending his fortune? Let's go out for dinner tonight. I'll make reservations. It's all right. I'm planning to cook at home with Winnie. April smiled gently. We've only just moved. You have to cook in a house to make it warm and homely. True, Erin agreed with her. I'll accompany you when you go grocery shopping later. There's not much supplies at home either. We can grab everything then. April nodded her head. She would never say no to voluntary labor. Without taking too much time, she finished unpacking all her things. Winnie refused to go to the supermarket in fear of being a third wheel. She volunteered to stay behind and clean up the house after handing them a list of household supplies to purchase. Marvin had driven away, and the two of them walked to the supermarket shoulder to shoulder. It was a 10-minute walk, and they entered the grocer on level 2. On the way there, Erin called Sister Emily. I'm not coming back for dinner. Yep, I'm at April's place. She just moved, and she's insisting on cooking for me. When he hung up, April said, I don't think I said that I was going to cook for you. It's one thing if he insisted on staying for dinner, and another if he insisted that she begged him to stay. What a shameless guy. She sighed in resignation. Episode 138. He had his woman in his arms, but he could only hug and kiss her. I'm just saying the words in your heart, Erin smiled without feeling embarrassed at all. After arriving at the destination, Erin pushed the shopping cart while April was choosing food. It was December, so lots of hot pot seasoning was being sold in the supermarket. How do you feel about hot pot? I haven't had hot pot for long, said April. Sure. You'll boil the meat for me, Erin said with interest. Shouldn't you boil meat for me? April looked at him and said. Seeing her sparkling eyes wearing a slightly displeased look, Erin felt that he could boil meat for her every single day. All right, he said. Hearing that, April smiled. Her boyfriend could be impolite sometimes, so she wouldn't spoil him. While April was choosing vegetables carefully and slowly, Erin hugged her and kissed her on the cheeks from time to time. A middle-aged woman passing by turned back to look at them. People are watching us, April reminded Erin, feeling shy. They're just jealous of us. Erin didn't let go of her, instead, tightening his arms and saying, Think, if we don't do this now and wait until their age, people would say that we were not decent. But now what we're doing means that we're in an ideal relationship. April paused for a second, then felt that his words did make sense. Beef or lamb, which do you prefer? She asked. I'll eat whatever you like, he said. April glanced at his proud face, which was resting on her shoulder, and couldn't help but recall the old mean Erin. He had really changed a lot after becoming her boyfriend. After taking everything they needed, they waited in line to pay. Next to them was a shelf with a box of condoms on it. April turned her face away shyly, but Erin forced her to face the shelf and whispered in her ear, When can we use some of those? April blushed. She was afraid that this might happen. After we marry each other, she said. You're forcing me to marry you. Erin glanced at her knowingly and said, You're thoughtful. I'm protecting myself, okay? April glared at him and said, If I was not like this, you would like a chance to take my first time, wouldn't you? So you have decided to give me your first time. Erin's eyes glowed. Realizing what she had said, April wanted to bite her own tongue off. I mean, she tried to explain. Don't explain, I get it. Erin pressed his slender fingers against her lips, saying, I'll marry you as soon as I can. I can't wait too long. You see, I'm nearly 30 years old. Before, I had no girls around me, but now I have my girl in my arms every day. However, I can only hug her and kiss her, and I'm not even allowed to touch her. If this situation continues, I'll get sick sooner or later. The blushing April slightly opened her mouth. Are you going to mention Isaac as an example? Erin interrupted her and said, How can he be compared with me? He's sexually dysfunctional. He was afraid that you might find out. April didn't know what to say, as she wasn't going to mention Isaac at all. You two, can you check out now? People are waiting behind you, the cashier, who was a middle-aged woman, said to them sourly. April stomped her foot against Erin's, then started checking out. Her face blushed crimson. They had shopped for 5 bagfuls of food. After checking out, April reached out a hand to carry some of the bag, but Erin stopped her. No, I'm here. How could I let you carry things? While speaking, he carried all the bags with 2 hands. Didn't you say that I was as strong as a bull? April felt blissful, especially when other people looked at her with envy. She was proud to have a boyfriend like him. You weren't born so strong, aren't you? Too bad you didn't meet someone as good as me. You had to train yourself to be this strong. Erin picked up the bags and walked forward. April was taken aback. Her gentle spirit was shaken by his casual remark. She felt her heart flutter. It was still so hard to digest the fact that she had someone who would constantly take care of her. She had been on her own for so long. Erin took a couple of steps before realizing that April hadn't caught up with him. He turned around to look at her and caught her staring at him in a daze a meter away. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Nothing much." April shook her head and walked towards him. She slung her arm around his. He hadn't realized that he was spot on with that statement. She was never so strong before. She slowly trained and built her strength. She lived alone previously, and she had no one to rely on. Taking care of patients also required physical strength and stamina. "I can't walk properly this way," Aaron said. "No, I want to hold you like this." April buried her face into his nape. Aaron looked at her affectionately, and he caught her blissful smile and felt a gush of happiness wash over him. There was nothing he could do. The two of them walked slowly beneath the sunset. The golden sun cast a long shadow behind them. None of them saw the black Maserati creeping behind them. Isaac was sitting in the back. The car windows were not wound down, but he could see the two of them holding hands clearly. He felt a sharp pain in his chest and a throbbing headache. He questioned himself. If he was seeing things right, why was his beloved with someone else? There was a time when he walked with April in the sunset like this. He was much older than her and had arranged to bump into her at a business banquet. She was only 18 years old then. She had just started having interest in boys, and she was adorable. It had been many years since then. She had grown up from a teenage girl to a young lady. Now she was beautiful and elegant. But someone else was walking with her now. How did things turn out this way? Didn't she say that her love for him would be unchanging? Didn't she say that she would never leave no matter how much he tried to chase her away? He clutched his chest as he felt the pain suffocate him. When they walked in the supermarket in the past, she liked to put her arm around his arm like that too. He always bought lots of food that she enjoyed. What was so great about Aaron? Wasn't he just a tad richer than him? He wasn't doing so bad himself now. "Clark, tell me all of this is a lie." Isaac inhaled sharply and said coldly, "She's trying to use him for his fortune and his status. She's using him to achieve her goals and dreams." "You were right, I pushed her too far. So far that she ended up with someone else. Why didn't she just come to me? If she begged me, I would have given her everything." Clark looked at April helplessly. He wanted to tell Isaac that Aaron had it all. He was rich and powerful, good-looking and charming. No wonder girls fell head over heels for him, but Clark didn't have the heart to hurt Isaac. "Did she beg you? What did you do, though? Didn't you want to use her body or kneel to you submissively?" "How could I ask her to do that? I just wanted her by my side, obediently," Isaac said with a sinister expression. Episode 139. This time, he'll taste jealousy, too. Clark sighed and said, "Everyone knows you're with Rosaria, so how could she possibly stay around you? Not to mention the fact that her father is still in prison because of you." "That's because her family owes me," Isaac responded, his heart aching. Clark stayed silent, slowly driving the car. "Maybe I should do it in a different way. When she believes she doesn't need to make use of Aaron anymore, she'll leave him," Isaac murmured to himself with confidence. At the gate of the community, Aaron's shoelace was untied. As he dropped the bags and squatted to tie his shoe, he saw a Maserati out of the corner of his eyes. He remembered seeing a car like that when leaving the supermarket. Instantly, he figured it out. Standing up, he turned his head and kissed April on the lips. "Why?" April didn't know what happened. "I haven't kissed you in 10 minutes. After saying that, Aaron abruptly gave her a deep kiss. April blushed. Seeing that Aaron was carrying 5 bags with both hands, she stood on her tiptoes and kissed him back and then said, "All right, it's not dark yet. There's so many people and I'm shy." Then she walked forward without him, turning back from time to time. The evening glow poured on her beautiful face, making her look like a delicate peony. Aaron silently glanced at the Maserati, gave a smile, and then quickly caught up with her. Last time, Isaac tried to sow discord between him and April, so this time, Aaron decided to let him taste jealousy as well. What happened just now was just an appetizer. He would torture Isaac slowly, like boiling a frog with warm water until he died. In the car, Clark noticed the veins bulging out of the backs of Isaac's hands because of how angry he was. "Do you think April has slept with him?" Isaac asked in a frosty voice. Clark didn't know how to respond. Isaac shook his head and continued, "That's impossible. She was with me for so long, but never slept with me, let alone Aaron. She's smart, so she definitely knows how to use a man while protecting herself." Still, Clark didn't respond. He wanted to say that it didn't seem like April was using Aaron on purpose. In the kitchen, April was washing the dishes while Winnie prepared the hot pot seasonings. Glancing at Aaron, who was sitting on the couch peeling potatoes while humming a song, both of them felt rather weird. Winnie quietly moved to April, saying, "Are you sure that you and Mr. Bennett just went to the supermarket and not a hotel?" The blushing April gave her a threatening glance and responded with, "Where did all this food come from if we didn't go to the supermarket?" Could supermarket shopping make him so happy? Winnie blinked. April thought for a moment and then felt that she could only try to explain Aaron's behaviors in a way ordinary people would never understand. Maybe it's because he's never been to a supermarket, but just now he suddenly found that supermarket shopping is quite interesting, she said. "Maybe," said Winnie. 20 minutes later, the hot pot and food was ready. Once they started eating, Winnie realized that she really shouldn't be there. At that moment, she sincerely wished that Marvin was there too. "Here, try some beef, lamb, meatballs, rice noodles." Aaron wouldn't stop putting all sorts of food onto April's bowl. I'm good, she replied. April felt a little embarrassed as Winnie was there too. "Didn't you say that I should boil meat for you?" Aaron frowned and said, "You eat like a horse. These are just a drop in the bucket for you." Winnie coughed. April rolled her eyes and said to Aaron, "Just eat." Aaron moved his bowl slightly toward April and said, "Well, if you don't like me putting food in your bowl, you can put some in mine." "Don't you have hands? Can't you do that yourself?" she asked. "The ones you pick are especially tasty." After a while, Winnie coughed. "I won't join you guys for the steamboat again next time. I don't need to eat the hot pot. I'm full from the dog food." "Don't you have a boyfriend? What are you jealous about?" Aaron said casually. "He's not in Rosewood City." "Long-distance relationships. I don't really—" Before he could finish, April kicked his legs under the table. He stopped mid-sentence. They finished eating at around 8 o'clock, and Aaron prepared to take his leave as April and Winnie had prepared for classes the next day. "I'll walk you down." April stood up. "It's okay, I'll show myself out. It's not safe out there at night," April reminded her. "Don't go out at night. Text me if you're hungry. I'll order supper for you." "Don't exaggerate." April was secretly pleased. "Of course, you are so pretty." Aaron was putting on his shoes. "Oh, right. About your voice acting gig. I went around the industry and talked to the producers. They won't be causing any trouble from now on." "Really?" April was happily surprised. "I thought you didn't know much about the entertainment industry." "Temporarily, but I have friends at the Media and Communications Authority," Aaron said with a shrug. April recalled that all the television and film productions had to be approved by the authorities before they could be released. Even if Isaac could control the entertainment industry, he wouldn't be able to reach into the Media and Communications Authority. Of course, the Bennett family had been in politics for generations. They must have a wide connection to various government authorities. Could a businessman ever trump a political figure? After Aaron left, Winnie chimed, "Mr. Bennett must stop. He's being so sweet to you. So envious that your boyfriend is by your side. You guys won't be in a long-distance relationship forever, right?" April was curious. Even though Winnie had a boyfriend, she hardly called him. If she hadn't headed to him over the long weekend, she would have seriously doubted whether Winnie even had a boyfriend in the first place. "Seems like you always go over to him. I've never seen him come over to Langford." Winnie was shocked. "His circumstances are special." "Is he a military man?" Winnie shook her head. She hesitated before saying, "He's in the music industry. He's the main reason why I want to become a singer." April was taken aback. If he's in the industry, why didn't he just help you find a company to sign with? Why is he letting you figure things out by yourself? You even had to work in a pub as a backup singer. "I can't. He's a pop star. His company invested a great deal into packaging his image. You know how strict they are over there. He's bound by a contract for 6 years. He's not allowed to have a relationship. Even if he did, he must date a popular female star over there. It's really competitive. Can't afford to make any mistakes. He only entered the mainland market earlier this year, and he's extremely busy, always jet-setting around. I can only meet him occasionally when he is in a nearby city. I bet you won't believe me. I only saw him twice this year. It's a rush every time we meet. One time we met, he was performing on stage, and I was just an audience member. We mostly text each other. Can't really talk on the phone. We're worried that his manager would find out about us." April was flabbergasted. She didn't know that Winnie's relationship was so difficult. Episode 140, Sleepless, Lonely Night. "I honestly admire you for that. How do you even do that? I wouldn't be able to stand if I couldn't see him in just a week, and I'm not a clingy girlfriend. The point is, you'll feel insecure," said April. "You're right. I have lots of thoughts, too. Sometimes when I feel hopeless and helpless, I want to give up, but I can't bear to." Winnie smiled bitterly and said, "You have no idea. We were classmates in junior high. We'd been through so much. We broke up a few times, but over and over again, we fell in love again with each other. After high school, we were separated. He went to pursue his dream. I didn't even know how I got through the first year after he left. I missed him all day. April sighed. Love always made people suffer. Did I ever tell you that Hallstown is my hometown? Asked Winnie in a deep voice. My grandfather and my father are both successors of the ceramic arts passed down from the royal dynasties. My mother is a famous landscape painting artist. My family owns a huge ceramic factory. My parents want me to take over the family business, but I let them down. After graduating from high school, I applied to Langford College of Communication without letting them know. They were so angry. My parents said that if I insisted on being a singer, they'd disown me. Was it worth it? April was surprised to find that Winnie was actually from an artistic family. You insisted on being with Isaac. Was it worth it then? Winnie threw a question back at her. April fell into a silence. Back then, she believed that she had to be with him no matter what had happened. Her family tried to persuade her to give up, but failed. She loved him, and she wouldn't listen to anyone else. April wanted to tell Winnie that she really regretted it. However, she understood that the people in love would always stubbornly insist. All right, there's no more secrets between us now. Winnie stood up and said, Don't tell anyone about this. I don't want anyone to know. Of course. April nodded. After leaving the area, Aaron found that the Maserati had gone. Marvin parked the car by the roadside, opened the door for him, and said, Mr. Bennett, Isaac has left. Yes, Aaron nodded and said, Send some people here and tell them to keep an eye in this area. Isaac doesn't dare go against me in public, but we should stay careful. I get it, Marvin bent slightly, saying, About Rosaria, I found the picture of her and Mr. Lennox in the fantasy club. Isaac pulled some strings to keep those pictures secret. However, even though he dealt with those reporters and stopped this from becoming one of the most searched hashtags, we still have reliable friends from the police station. The surveillance video is still there. Contact reporters. Release it immediately. Let people know that I did it. I doubt anyone would dare try making it disappear from the most searched hashtag list then, said Aaron coldly. I didn't pay enough attention earlier. If I knew that April was in the club with Rosaria, I wouldn't let Isaac black out the news. My fault. Back then, I thought that we only needed to take care of Mr. Lennox in the club, said Marvin guiltily. Get me Isaac's recent schedule, and get me the list of all the films and TV series produced by the Davidson Group. We can't do anything to the ones that have passed the censorship, but for those that haven't passed yet, defer the censorship. The ones that haven't started filming shall not pass the censorship either. Aaron sneered and continued, He wants to play a game, so let's see who can win. No problem, Marvin responded. The next morning, April woke up on the new bed that Aaron bought for her. While brushing her teeth, she checked her WeChat moments. Lonely, sleepless night. CEO Bennett at 2 o'clock in the morning. The photo attached was a dim table lamp by his bedside. Sylvia commented on the post. Brother, are you really my brother? Is your account hacked? Do you need me to report it to the police? Mr. Bennett replied, I thought I blocked you from my friend circle. Sylvia, you must have forgotten to block me, so you really are my brother. Are you ill? Should I call 120? Mr. Bennett, scram. April spit out her toothpaste. She burst out into laughter and her stomach hurt from laughing so hard. The two siblings were hilarious. Aaron's status update was a little too cheesy. It didn't match his cool and suave image. She replied on her phone, I slept well. After a few seconds, he replied, Don't say things that you don't mean. Are you used to sleeping without me? I am. April hit reply again. I'm not used to it, though. I miss you. Sylvia, please, can you please block me from your friend circle? I'm in pain eating the dog food. Mr. Bennett, why are you still here? April burst out into laughter again. What are you laughing about? Winnie had already changed and she was holding her phone. Have you seen the news today? Rosaria's in the headlines. What's so strange about that? Winnie chuckled. It's not good news. She's called out by the forum and corticals and netizens. The forum mainly reports social news, and it is formally associated with the government. The article's being reported everywhere on major social media sites. She's the #1 search topic now. Usually her negative reports are suppressed by our company, but no one's helping her this time. What did she do? The article stated that Rosaria was meeting Mr. Lennox on the night that he was arrested at Fantasy. They even attached photos of the two of them smiling at each other amicably. Winnie passed her the phone. They even had a meal together afterwards. Isn't it strange? It's been so long since the incident, it surfaced again out of nowhere. April looked at the photo. It was really the same photo. April was standing beside her then, but her face was mosaicked. Whitney smiled. Some netizens said that someone had revealed that Rosaria was there that night after the incident was reported the next morning, but someone had deliberately tried to suppress the news surrounding Rosaria. The picture had disappeared on the internet, and so the incident wasn't widely reported. This time, Rosaria had offended some of Jennifer Atkinson's fans. They dug up the post again. April smiled. She tried to make use of Jennifer's fans in the past as well, but it was not effective. They were isolated users that didn't stir up much talk. Someone else was behind this incident today. Yeah, Jennifer is known to be hardworking. She entered the industry early and had to work as an unknown actress for 5 years before she gained recognition. Rosaria bagged the award that was meant for her last year. That's why all of Jennifer's fans detested her. Netizens are speculating about why Rosaria met Mr. Lennox that night. Some say that she was going to sleep with him. Others say that she didn't need to do that since she was dating Isaac. They're speculating that she might be pulling strings for the Davidson Group. And all of the artists under the Davidson Group are under the heat now. Netizens are trying to figure out who had slept with Mr. Lennox before. Winnie smiled and jostled April's elbow. Episode 141. Did Mr. Bennett avenge you? Did Mr. Bennett avenge you? I didn't hear him mention this. I'll call him and ask. April quickly washed her face, then called Aaron. Did you miss me? His proud and sexy voice sounded. What are people discussing online? I want to know if you did that to Rosaria, she said hurriedly. Yes, Aaron chuckled and said. Didn't you mention the fantasy club earlier? I asked Marvin to do some digging. Isaac tried to destroy all the evidence, but he failed to destroy it all. After all, this is Rosewood City. The police kept the surveillance video as a record. I pulled some strings and got the video. I wanted to release the pictures of all the people who were on the scene that night, but then I felt that if only your face is covered with mosaics, people might take guesses, so I only kept the pictures of Rosaria and Mr. Lennox. April was so touched that she didn't even know what to say. He went against Rosaria and the ones who bullied her without letting her know. She thought carefully, then realized that she hadn't really done anything for him. Aaron, thank you. Why are you thanking me? Aaron wasn't happy with her words. Some people bullied my woman, so I avenged her. It's my responsibility to protect you. If you really wanted to thank me, come to the Christmas show. You just said that I didn't need to thank you. Please don't give me any difficulty. April gave a bitter smile. He hadn't mentioned the show recently, so she thought that he had forgotten it long ago. I knew it. In your heart, I'm just not as important as that boy toy, he said. Boy toy? Who? April didn't understand. You know who, he said. April now realized that he was talking about Ryan. It's not like that. You're definitely the most important person to me. He's not even as important as a single strand of hair of yours. I like you the most. You do? The man on the other side of the phone immediately sounded happy. Never mind. I'll just tolerate you this time, but only this time. Okay. April nearly burst into laughter. She had just found that Mr. Bennett was quite easy to deal with. To make him happy, she only needed to sweet-talk him as much as possible. At Cityview International, Rosaria came back with a sad look, saying, Isaac, you have to help me. This morning at the filming site, I was surrounded by reporters. The security people made a path for me to leave with some real effort. The director said that I can't go to the filming site for the next few days. Isaac, who was sitting on the couch and talking to Clark, glanced at her. His handsome face wore an obvious dislike as he said, That's all because you're stupid. If you didn't meet Mr. Lennox that day, those pictures wouldn't even exist. Now you've brought the whole company into trouble. Clark added silently, We were preparing to sign a contract with Neville Charleston, who's famous because of his costume dramas. But because of what happened this morning, he refused to sign the contract. A talent show jointly organized by our company and a TV station has also been postponed indefinitely by the TV station. Rosaria gave a start, her face paling. It must have something to do with April. She hooked up with Aaron and now she's taking revenge on us. There is no us. Isaac stood up and said, He really wanted to throw her away, yet now they were on the same boat. Your meeting with Mr. Lennox is a fact that we can't deny. The company will arrange a press conference for you immediately. You need to make it clear that you didn't know what kind of a person Mr. Lennox was. You were tricked by Mr. Lennox. He started touching your hands when you went in, so you excused yourself. You didn't stay for long. You were thrilled that he was arrested. But what if they showed the CCTV footage? Rosaria was scared, though she was more worried that Isaac would find out that she hadn't brought April along when she left. Aaron wouldn't do that. He purposely blurred out April's face. It shows that he didn't want to involve her. In our day and age, it's too easy to find someone on social media. It'd be too risky to put her face up as well. Isaac's face darkened as he could tell how protective Aaron was over April. Rosaria absolutely detested April. She was jealous of her family background back in the day as well. Now that Kenneth Eisenberg had fallen, Aaron appeared. The Bennett family was on another level. She certainly couldn't allow April to marry into that family. She glanced at Isaac pitifully. Isaac, I think Aaron is only just getting started. He wouldn't let us off so easily. The Bennett family is too powerful. We should come up with a plan. I heard that Aaron made Marianne go bungee jumping when he wanted to teach her a lesson on April's behalf. Aaron's grandparents both hate her to the core. Isaac looked at her coldly. She deserved it. It was definitely her fault when the platform collapsed that night. Rosaria looked at him and said quietly, I thought we could work together with the Flanders family since we have a common enemy. Isaac knitted his brows as he mulled over her words. Clark interjected, Mr. Davidson, we should return to Lukesville. We've incurred quite a loss from this incident. We need you at the company to hold things together. Okay. Over the next couple of days, April watched the news of the entertainment industry. After Rosaria held a press conference to defend herself, the opinions of the netizens were widely divided. It was a pity that the news of a pop star idol dating his manager took over as the #1 search topic. Heston Bloomington was extremely popular, and when his relationship was revealed, it instantly took over the headlines of major forums and websites. On the way to school, Winnie remarked, The Davidson Group is really something. They managed to find that kind of news to shift the public's attention. Rosaria has many fans. She won't be taken down so easily, April said, disappointed. However, she wasn't the most disappointed party. It had been difficult for Aaron to dig out that evidence. It seemed like his strategy hadn't worked. She proceeded to make a call to Aaron. I knew this was going to happen from the beginning. The Davidson Group is a huge entertainment company. They control several entertainment reporters, and they have a strong public relations team. Aaron smiled and didn't seem bothered by the situation one bit. Rosaria is not my ultimate target. April was shocked. You're trying to shake the Davidson Group? No. I'm going after Regalia Film Studio. April, taken aback, recalled Richard telling her about purchasing Regalia Film Studio. Isaac had wanted to buy the company. If he had really managed to do that, he would have even greater influence in the industry. Remember Isaac's company came to look for me last year? I talked to him for quite a while. I realized then that he had greater ambitions than becoming the boss of an entertainment company. He wanted to create a Hollywood sensation. Episode 142. If she acts aggressively, he'll enjoy it. April breathed deeply as she could scarcely believe that Isaac was actually so ambitious. I never heard him mention all this, she said. Aaron snorted and said, People are greedy. After attaining Eisenberg Group, he only wanted to expand his business. Normal successes won't satisfy him. I get it, April said knowingly. So this time your final goal is to hurt the Davidson Group's reputation so he can't purchase Regalia Film? Not only that, I'm also targeting the film and television base he is building. I can't possibly build it alone. There are many other shareholders. What happened this time is like a lever, which can slightly shake the shareholders' confidence towards Isaac. In that case, I'll be able to avail myself of the opportunity to purchase the stock right of the film and television base. April honestly admired Aaron for how thoughtful he was. Normally, he was arrogant and narcissistic, but in the business world, he was admirable indeed. No wonder he had made Arrington so huge. Why didn't you say anything? Don't you admire your husband? Aaron chuckled proudly. April blushed, glanced at Winnie, slowed down her pace and said with a low voice, When did you become my husband? Sooner or later, didn't you say that you'd give me your first time? I'll certainly be responsible to you then, said Aaron with a happy voice. Enough of that. The day after tomorrow, fly to LA and attend a charity activity with me. Will we spend the night there? April asked without thinking. Happy, right? You can get me into your bed again. Aaron sounded thrilled. Didn't you hate being carried in my arms before? Now you sound excited, said April speechlessly. After you became my girlfriend, it has become the spice of our relationship. April looked at the sky, corner of her mouth twitching. She was right. Aaron was a masochist. She began wondering if he would always enjoy it if she acted aggressively in bed. All right, I'll come and get you the day after tomorrow. After ending the call, April found that she had unwittingly walked into the campus. Winnie turned back and asked, "Are you going out with Mr. Bennett?" April told her about traveling to L.A. Winnie gave her a mysterious smile and then asked, "Do you want me to buy you some condoms?" April pinched her arm, feeling shy. They laughed until finding themselves face to face with Marianne, Kathy, and Esther Warhol. It had been only a few days. Marianne seemed to have lost some weight, looking sallow and pitiful. April might have felt sorry for her if she did know that Marianne tried to sow discord between her and Annie, and if she wasn't staring at her with such a vicious look. After all, April clearly remembered how she was pushed down the bridge that night. "You." Seeing April, the look in Kathy's face changed. She rushed up to hurl a slap towards April's face. April hurriedly raised a hand to defend herself and grabbed Kathy's hand. She was strong. Kathy struggled, but failed to free herself from April's grasp. She looked out of the corner of her eyes and saw that Esther was walking over. Then she clenched her teeth and bent her legs deeply. "Ouch!" She fell to the ground. Both April and Winnie were shocked. "Mom!" Marianne hurriedly came up to help Kathy. Wait, I sprained my ankle when she pushed me." Kathy raised her head, showing a painful look, saying, "April Eisenberg, don't go too far. You bullied my daughter and now you're trying to hurt me?" "Aunt, look, she disrespected us because Aaron is helping her. She pushed me so hard. If she married Aaron, will there ever be a place for the Flanders family?" "April, I have never met anyone as ill-mannered as you are. No wonder you are the daughter of your father," Esther said angrily as she looked at Kathy's red and swollen foot. Kathy was her niece after all, and April Eisenberg was disregarding her in front of her aunt. "I'm telling you, as long as I am Aaron's grandmother, I would never allow you into the Bennett family." She huffed as she helped Kathy up with Marianne. "I didn't push her. She fell down," April said anxiously. She was shocked that Kathy would do such a thing at her age. "I fell down myself?" Kathy pointed a finger at her and laughed. "You think I would do such a thing at my age? You don't dare to admit to what you've done." Winnie laughed coldly. "Auntie, I have to ask you, aren't you ashamed trying to frame someone so much younger than you are?" "Grand Auntie, she is my roommate." Marianne pointed at Winnie. "She stole my resources from the recording company. She even stole the lead role in the school musical from me." "This is too much. Aaron must be blind. I won't let you off so easily." Esther glared nastily at April and Winnie. "Marianne, hold on to your mother. Let's go to the hospital." Esther walked away angrily with them. April picked up her pace and ran after them. After a while, she stopped in her tracks. Esther didn't believe a word she said. There was no point explaining herself. "You're going to have trouble now. Mr. Bennett's grandma seems to be very upset." Winnie frowned and said worriedly, "If the old people make a fuss about it, there's no way Mr. Bennett can completely ignore their protests." April was having a headache. "Do you think Aaron would misunderstand me as well?" "I don't think so," Winnie winked. "He would just be angry that the Flanders family had put on a better show than he did." Winnie made perfect sense. At the Arrington office, Aaron sat with his foot across his other leg as he discussed matters with his financial officer. When he picked up Esther's call, he could hear the anger in her voice. "Come to the hospital immediately. Your girlfriend is so disrespectful. She pushed your auntie onto the ground and she sprained her ankle. I've never met someone as ill-mannered as her in my life." Aaron frowned. "Is there some sort of misunderstanding? April would never do that." "I saw it with my own eyes. Why would I frame a young girl?" "Auntie must have done something nasty to her then." "No one did anything. We were just sending Marianne to school. Your auntie wanted to hit her for all the misery Marianne was put through. Good for her, striking first. She could have just shielded herself. Why did she have to push her to the ground?" Aaron was quiet on the line. "The Flanders family was the cause of the trouble in the first place. I give it to you guys shutting things down with $3 million, but I thought they knew their mistakes. Seems like they are completely unremorseful. I'm telling you that April was being disrespectful to her elders. Are you brainwashed by her?" Esther was so angry that she almost fainted. "She hit my niece in front of me. Grandma, you should not tolerate the Flanders family's nonsense any further." Episode 143. Is it my fault that I'm too handsome? Am I not allowed to say anything when my niece is hurt? Esther got angry. "Aaron, I'm serious. If you insist on being with her, you'll never be allowed in the house of your grandpa and me. And don't make me go talk to the Bennett family. I wasn't going to talk to them for the rest of my life." The look in Aaron's face finally changed a little. The Bennett family people had wished that David and Caitlin Bennett could get back together, but sadly, the Morrison family had been giving the Bennett family the cold shoulder all these years. So if Esther talked to the Bennett family people would join her side immediately. "All right. If you're not afraid that my mom might get mad, you can do it. I'm still busy. I'll talk to you later." Aaron ended the call. 5 minutes later, his phone rang again. This time, it was April.
"I didn't push your auntie."
April started explaining once the call was answered, as she guessed that Esther must have called Aaron and told him about what happened. "It'll be all right, even if you did push her. It would be best if you disabled her so she wouldn't be able to bring me trouble all day."
"What?"
April believed that if she did that, Aaron's grandma would kill her.
"I really didn't push her, no matter how she is an elder of mine."
April continued. I'm guessing that Aunt Kathy is running the wrong kind of business." Aaron took a deep breath to calm himself down. "When I take over the YCC group, I'll fire her. Try persuading her to be an actor. I believe that she'll be good at acting. However, she's a little old, so I guess I could only play a mean mother-in-law or something like that." April was a little worried, but after hearing Aaron's words, she laughed. But shortly after, she started to worry again.
"There was a big misunderstanding this time. Your grandma won't allow you to marry me no matter what,"
she said. "Have you decided to marry me?" Aaron chuckled and said, "It's all right. We can do something that can't be undone. Let's make a baby, and after that, no one will be able to do anything to you."
"I'm done talking to you."
The embarrassed April ended the call. If she knew that he would say that, she wouldn't have made the call. Aaron smiled at his phone, then immediately switched to his normal, cold and proud look and turned to the investment director. He said, "Where were we? Please, continue." The investment director was surprised by how quickly the look in his face changed. Saturday, April went downstairs with her bag. In the parking lot, Aaron was leaning against the expensive Maybach. She hadn't seen him in 2 days. He had cut his hair short and now looked clean and refreshed. His handsome face was entirely exposed, looking more mature than before. Today, he was wearing a blue blazer and a retro-style silk scarf. He looked like an elegant gentleman. April had rarely seen a man who looked so good with a scarf. The people passing by all turned back to look at him. A little girl, looking 6 or 7 years old, who was holding her father's hand, said to him when walking past Aaron, "Daddy, that man is so handsome. Why aren't you as handsome as him?" "Handsome men are all unreliable." The dad unhappily glanced at Aaron. April smiled and walked to Aaron. "Jealousy made that father's face ugly. If his daughter only dates ugly men in the future, who will be responsible for her life then?" asked Aaron. April responded with, "He didn't mean that. Don't take it seriously." "I have to. What if you also think that I'm too handsome and unreliable?" He snorted and continued, "Is it my fault I'm this handsome? My parents have good genes. What can I possibly do about it?" April didn't know what to say. April looked up. "Why did you change your hairstyle?" "Yeah, is it nice?" Aaron looked at her seductively. He was obviously fishing for compliments. April was on the brink of bursting into laughter. She had never met a man as needy as him. "Nice. You're modeling the David Beckham style, aren't you?" "I've seen it on him before." Aaron's face fell. "Oh, really? The hairstylist didn't tell me that. But I bet David Beckham didn't look as good as me." Yes, you are the most perfect." April opened the car door. "But you don't have to be upset. The Beckhams are so happy together. 4 kids and a beautiful wife. He's loyal and faithful despite his good looks. Let's have 5 kids in the future then." Aaron grinned and grabbed her waist and planted a kiss on her cheek. "Don't worry. I won't fool around either." April blushed. "I don't mean that. If we want to have 5 kids, shouldn't we start early?" Aaron babbled. "Look, the fastest we can go is 1 in 2 years. You can't go too fast. You'll have to recuperate and heal, and that'll take us 10 years in total, even longer if you do a C-section. Who said I was going to have 5 kids with you? I'm not a suckling pig, okay?" April was going crazy, and to think that the chauffeur was listening to their entire conversation. "You can decide how many children to have then. I just want children in general." April was already feeling tired after only meeting him for 5 minutes. He wasn't listening to her. "Stop talking about it, or I'm going to leave." "Okay." Aaron rubbed her cheeks affectionately. She was so cute when she was flustered. When they got onto the vehicle, the chauffeur turned and introduced himself. "Hi, Ariel." "Master Richard." April was shocked. "Are you going too?" "Yeah, they invited me as well." Richard gave her a bright smile. "The organizers mainly wanted to invite me. They only invited him as well out of courtesy, Aaron said as he pulled out the breakfast that Sister Emily had made. He didn't have to go, but he is probably too free. He's going to pick up chicks there. Richard glared at him and addressed April. Don't call me Mr. Richard next time. We seem too distant. Just call me Rich. Before April could nod, Aaron laughed sarcastically. You're not allowed to. She doesn't even call me Ronnie. Richard's expression was dull. Call me Richie, then. You think I'll allow that? Aaron scoffed. There was a brief pause. Richard, then, Aaron concluded. That's just too much, Richard said angrily. You already have a Richard at home. Yeah, you really are too much, April said empathetically. I'll call you Rich. As for you, you desperately need to get a life. Aaron looked at her sadly. We've kissed, slept together, and hugged each other, and you still treat me so. You have quite a cruel heart. April was blushing. Who slept with you? Don't spout nonsense. All right, I'm deaf. I can't hear anything, Richard said as he plugged his ears. I know you've done more than sleeping together. I know you two have done the oral and the hand stuff too, Richard thought to himself. Episode 144. The first time they traveled together. Are we not leaving yet? Isn't our plane taking off at 11 o'clock? April reminded him, feeling a little tired. Hearing her, Richard started the car. At the airport, the three of them used the VIP channel. When going through the security check at the airport, staff asked April to open her bag. Thankfully, to avoid an embarrassing situation, she had packed her clothes in paper bags before leaving. However, when the airport staff found a red box of condoms, she was dumbfounded. Aaron and Richard, who stood by her side, both fixed their eyes on the box. Richard chuckled, pushing Aaron slightly. Aaron ignored her, but took the box from the airport staff's hands, glanced at it, then calmly put it back into April's bag. As the bag was zipped up, Aaron gave a meaningful smile and glanced at her. April felt that even the bottoms of her feet were burning. She honestly didn't understand where that box came from, but then she recalled the last time when he had asked her if she needed to bring some condoms. This morning when she came out of the bathroom, she saw Winnie walking out from her room. She thought that Winnie was borrowing her makeup, but now she guessed. The airport staff glanced at Aaron and April with a meaningful look, then pushed the bag back to April. All right, it's done. You may go in. The blushing April grabbed the bag and quickly walked inside. She only wanted to leave this place as soon as possible, as she felt terribly embarrassed. After resting for 20 minutes in the VIP lounge, they boarded and ended up in the first-class cabin. Aaron and April sat in the first row, while Richard sat behind them. After buckling up, Aaron turned, curved his lips into a smile, and then said to April, "What does ultra-thin mean?" April was confused. "You're pretending. You art school students just love pretending." Aaron happily pinched her cheeks and said, "Fortunately, I know you well enough. You're shy on the outside, but wild on the inside." April had a bad feeling. "What are you talking about?" "The red box, apricot." Aaron chuckled and said, "I saw the word super thin on the box. I don't quite understand. Can you explain it for me?" April wanted to cry, but failed to shed any tears. She thought that he wouldn't mention it, but to her surprise, "If you don't know what it means, how am I supposed to know?" she asked. "You bought it, so how can you not know?" Aaron was thrilled. April had been telling him that she wouldn't sleep with him before marrying him, but in fact, she sneakily hid a box of condoms in her bag when they traveled together for the first time. He began wondering if April refused premarital sex because she wanted to marry him as soon as possible. "She's such a liar. She said that she's too young to marry, but I guess that's just a scheme of hers." "I didn't buy it. Winnie put it in my bag without letting me know," April explained. "Don't explain. I get it." Aaron nodded smilingly. He always made Sister Emily take the blame, and now she was doing the same to Winnie. "You do? Really?" April looked at him, feeling that his burning gaze was about to strip her. "Yes," Aaron nodded and responded with, "Since you don't want to tell me, I'll just Google the meaning of ultra-thin online." April wanted to die. "You know nothing." She picked up her phone and messaged Winnie. She didn't think that the innocent-looking Winnie would sneakily buy something like condoms. Winnie soon replied, "You found it so soon?" "Yeah, I put it in your bag just in case. I think Mr. Bennett will definitely do something interesting." April's cheeks felt hot. Frankly, she didn't have a clue what Aaron would say or do next because he was just too unpredictable and thick-skinned. Winnie replied via text, "Open it and leave one in your pocket just in case things get too heated." April hit reply, "You would know." Winnie, "I read it online." "I've searched it up." Aaron walked over with his phone in his hands. "Ultra-thin sounds extremely passionate, don't you think? It's one of the thinnest options that this brand offers, but the 003 is their thinnest. Online reviews say that it isn't the most popular brand now, though. Spasmgasm is the best. She wanted to kill herself. Erin continued, "Shall we consider spasmgasm? We can get a pack when we reach LA. Speak any more and I will get off the plane right away," April threatened him. Erin blinked his eyes. He discovered a phenomenon that he observed in people who were secretly coy. They were all extremely bashful. All right, he would go get them later by himself then. When he was finally quiet, April put her earphones and closed her eyes. She let the music peacefully drift into her ears. Not before long, she had fallen asleep. She was only awakened when the air stewardess served the in-flight meal. The first-class meal was scrumptious, and after she had a couple of bites, she noticed that Erin wasn't touching his food at all. "Why aren't you eating?" she remarked. "It's so bad. Your cooking is much better," replied Erin. April was speechless. When they arrived at LA, they got off the plane and Erin led the way with brisk steps. April turned behind and saw Richard struggling to keep up with them as he squeezed past other passengers. "Slow down. Let's wait for Rich." Erin slowed down and looked behind them. "Oh, right, I nearly forgot. No wonder I felt as if I had lost something." Richard approached them and he heard what Erin had said and replied indignantly, "I'm not a thing, okay?" "Of course, I know that." Erin looked at him condescendingly. Richard was livid. "Fine, you win. You always win." April turned to look at Richard sympathetically. "Rich, you are the most magnanimous person I know." "I think so too." Richard nodded his head. Erin frowned at April. April blinked and said, "The fact that he didn't decide to cut off all ties with you is evidence that he has a big heart. He doesn't hold grudges and he's easygoing. What more do you want?" Erin stopped in his tracks and said with a displeased tone, "You are my woman, so shouldn't you take my side? Why are you speaking for him? Stop complimenting him this way. You've never even praised me like that before. Do you fancy him?" April's eyes widened in disbelief. Richard felt like he was being completely disregarded by Erin, but added curiously, "What would you do if she fancies me? You are my longtime buddy after all, and she is my woman. I wouldn't be too harsh. At most, I'd break your legs and throw you guys to opposite poles of the earth, never to meet again." Erin looked at them emotionlessly. "I'm being kind here." April and Richard shuddered in unison. He said he was being kind. "All right, cut it out." April held onto his arms tightly. "I was just teasing you back there. Don't overthink it." Episode 145. Wouldn't it be a shame if nothing happened in such a huge bed? Ugh, thank God. I thought your taste became poor again. Erin nodded. Richard clenched his teeth in anger. I should have just taken his girlfriend away. After leaving the airport, Mr. Robbins from the branch office in L.A. escorted the three of them to a grand hotel. When checking in, April pulled Erin's sleeve and said, "I need an extra room." Erin turned to Mr. Robbins. Mr. Robbins explained, "The charity party is taking place in this hotel. All the rooms have been booked already, but Ms. Eisenberg, you don't need to worry because the organizer has prepared a Riverview suite for Mr. Bennett and Mr. Jones each, and one suite includes 4 bedrooms. April gave herself a bitter smile. Left alone with 4 bedrooms? She might not be able to escape Erin even if there were 40 bedrooms. April felt a little strange, as such a huge hotel actually didn't have any available room. "You see, I can't do anything about it." Erin spread his hands innocently and said, "But it's not a bad thing. If you sleep alone, I'll worry." "Staying with you is more unsafe for me," she silently grumbled. Richard, who stood aside Erin, couldn't help but roll his eyes. Yesterday afternoon in the CEO's office, he heard Erin telling Marvin to book all the empty rooms in this hotel, and now he understood why. "Do you have to pretend to be like this? You've brought condoms." Mr. Robbins handed the room keys to Erin and Richard and then said to Erin, "Mr. Bennett, the full dress and stylist you asked for already. When Ms. Eisenberg is rested, I'll send the dress to your room." "Okay," Erin responded. He held April's hands and went upstairs. The Riverview suite was about an 800-foot square with multiple French windows. However, once in, April found that the bathroom was transparent, and that made her feel awkward. Richard stepped in and said, "This place is not bad." However, once he set foot in the room, Erin immediately turned back and said to him, "Why don't you go back to your own room?" "Really? So mean." "Little Benny, you followed me everywhere when you were single, but now you're always trying to drive me away as if I was a fly. Is this really appropriate? Haven't you thought about how cold and lonely I might feel in that giant suite alone?" "I haven't." When Richard heard Erin's response, his stomach ached. "Mr. Bennett, Mr. Richard, it's really a surprise that you two will attend our charity party." At that moment, Mr. Warren, the organizer, gently knocked on the door, then walked in excitedly and said, "It's such an honor." Richard raised his eyebrows and gave Aaron a sideways glance. I know you want to spend time with April alone, but now that's not going to happen. As the three of them talked, April took the opportunity to check all the bedrooms, then picked one with the best view. To avoid Aaron sneaking into her room at night, she even took the key. After she lay on the bed for about half an hour, Aaron walked in, smiled, and said, "This room is perfect." "Yeah, it's good. There's a nice view." April nodded. "I mean the bed." Aaron sat on the bed, saying, "So large. 6 feet wide." "I don't think so." April had a bad feeling. As she thought in the next moment, Aaron stared at her right in the eye and said, 4.5 feet at least. It would be a shame if nothing happened in such a huge bed." April blushed immediately. "In your dreams." She rolled her eyes toward him. "Then what should we do with your condoms? They'll expire if you don't use them." Aaron blinked his eyes innocently. April had to hand it to him. Expiring condoms. "They're good for 3 years. You know so much. I don't really know about these things." Aaron frowned and appeared to be vexed. "It's not good to keep them for too long, is it?" "I just like to keep them. You have a problem with that?" "Don't speak to me. I need to rest." April wanted to cut the conversation short in case things got too scandalous again. She covered herself with the duvet and ignored him. "All right, let's not talk about it anymore." "Don't cover yourself. It's not good for your ventilation." Aaron laid down on the bed and pulled the duvet down. "The stylist is coming. She's going to pick out your outfit and do your makeup." April was incredibly stressed. "I wouldn't have come if I had known that it was going to be so grand. I'm on an unlucky streak when it comes to events like these." She had been either humiliated or physically hurt, and she was traumatized after that series of unfortunate events. "Don't worry, you've got me tonight." Aaron held her hands gently. "There'll be a good show to watch." "What show?" Aaron grinned and said mysteriously, "You'll find out." "Whenever you say that, it means that you'll be teaching some scumbag a lesson. Is that the show we'll be watching tonight?" April asked. Aaron's expression froze. "Don't tell me I got it right." April froze too. "Who are you targeting tonight? You've already gotten Marianne and Max. Are you going after Rosaria and Isaac tonight? Are they even in L.A.? "Enough. You'll find out eventually," Aaron said in frustration. He felt like he had just lost the element of surprise. "Is it really them?" April knew she'd hit the jackpot. She felt a whirlwind of emotions. She'd always been stampeded on by Rosaria and Isaac in the past. No matter how hard she struggled, she couldn't escape from their humiliation and insults. She wondered how they would feel when she appeared with Aaron that night. They probably would never have expected her to know someone as powerful as him. The thought of bumping into the two of them tonight made her excited instead of fearful and anxious. She would be with her protector. "So Isaac is staying at the same hotel as us?" "Yes," Aaron said reluctantly. He hadn't expected her to figure out the surprise so quickly. At that moment, the stylist arrived and knocked on their door. She was a fashionable woman in her 30s, and she brought with her a light pink gown embellished with floral embroidery. April had seen it in a magazine as part of a high-end luxury brand's winter collection. "I can go into the room with you to help you put it on," the stylist added. Aaron pulled the stylist aside to stop her. "You're going in too?" "Of course," the lady nodded. "She'll need help putting it on." "You're not allowed to." Aaron grabbed April and pulled her into the room. "I can help her. You just wait outside." With a loud bang, he shut the door in the lady's face. April was astonished. Before she could speak, Aaron interjected. "No one is allowed to see your body, not even other women. You have such a perfect figure. What if she takes a liking to you?" April blushed. "She's a woman. Jeez." "She could be into women," Aaron stated, and then sat on the bed. April thought about all the times she had showered with Winnie. Aaron would probably kill her if he found out. This guy was scarily possessive. Episode 146. She didn't look back, but she knew that those were his lips. "Just change here. I'll turn around and I won't peek," said Aaron. April didn't believe him at all. She looked around, then took the dress into a changing room and a bedroom. As she put the dress on, she realized that the stylist was right. She needed someone to zip her. She hesitated for a short while and then slowly walked out and said to Aaron with a soft voice, "I need you to zip me up." While speaking, she blushed. Aaron's bright eyes turned as dark as ink as he raised his head to look at her. She hadn't done the makeup yet, but the light pink dress made her skin look iridescent. With her delicate collarbones, slender arms, and slim waist, she looked like a fairy. It was a V-neck dress. As the zipper was undone, her breasts were halfway exposed, looking as smooth as if she were carved from marble, making Erin feel terribly thirsty. "Don't look." Under Erin's scorching gaze, even April's toes were feeling hot. She wanted to cover her breasts, but had to keep her hands on her shoulders to prevent the dress from falling off. She was surprised that Erin would agree to dress in such a sexy style this time. After all, he even asked her to cover her collarbones at Marianne's birthday party. "Zip me up now. Stop wasting time," she said. As she turned around, Erin saw her snow-white back. While breathing slowly, he walked to her. April held her breath. Only after he walked up behind her and touched the zipper did she sigh with relief. However, she waited for a while but didn't hear any zip. Instead, something hot and soft was pressed against her back. She froze. She didn't look back, but she knew that those were his lips. "Erin!" She turned back, feeling both shy and annoyed. Before she could see his face, he covered her lips with his. Her lips were soft and supple. Recalling what he just saw now, Erin couldn't stop kissing her. April was still clear-minded. She was willing to kiss him, but she was also aware of the fact that kissing right now was no different from lighting a fire next to a pile of dry wood. She couldn't push him off because she had to hold the dress tight. The zip was still undone, and the dress could fall off at any time. She moaned in protest and tried to flinch, but he held her tighter and tighter. She was like a little rabbit that was trying to escape, but soon she was entrapped by him. Their tongues tangled together. Before long, April's brain stopped functioning. She didn't notice when he took her hands away from her dress and put them around his neck. One strap of the dress fell off, then the other one. Right after that, the pink dress fell to the ground, and then her nude bra fell off as well. Being kissed by Erin, April felt like she was in a sauna. She was in love with someone else before, but had never experienced something so stimulating. Erin was like a fire that she was enveloped by. He didn't only kiss her lips and ears and neck, but went lower to the places that hadn't been visited by anyone else. April leaned against the window, slightly raised her chin, and opened her mouth to breathe. Her eyes were misty and her face was as radiant as a sunset glow. She felt like countless feathers were caressing her body. It felt nice, but wasn't enough to satisfy her. Erin took one single glance at her face and then gulped nervously. Her skin was so tender and soft. Her body was never this hot. He felt the warmth spreading from his toes all the way up to his head. He felt something hot trickle down his nose. April looked at him through her half-shut eyes and then gasped, "You, why is your nose bleeding?" She turned around to look for a piece of tissue before stepping away and realized that her gown was in a pile at her feet. She blushed a deep red and quickly bent over to pick up her gown. Flustered, she clumsily looked for the right holes to put her arms in. She was extremely embarrassed. Erin wiped his nose regretfully and walked over to help her with her gown. "Don't touch me, you pervert!" April slapped his hands away. "Apricot, I couldn't help myself. You're just so gorgeous, and all I am is a man." Erin hugged her tightly and pressed his lips against her ear. She could feel his hot breath on the tips of her ears. "You get me so excited, it's hard to contain myself." April's heart was thumping in her chest, and she was at a loss for words. She was indignant because of his move, but also heard the sincerity in his voice, which was mingled with something else. Love? She knew that she shouldn't be hugging him like that. Something was bound to happen between the two of them. "Let go of me first. I still need to try on the gown." She grumpily pushed him away. She knew she'd melt again if he made an advance. Erin let go of her reluctantly, although he wanted to hold her naked like this for a while longer. He remembered his mission to humiliate their common enemy and focused on tidying up her gown. When April saw the hickeys on her breasts, she wanted to bury herself in a hole. How can I wear this gown tonight?" April was at her wit's end. Anyone who saw the bruises would know what they were. She didn't even dare to walk out of the room and see the stylist. "I think we should change the gown." "No," Erin refused. "I think you look the best in this one. We can cover these up with some concealer. I'll ask the stylist to come in." "Don't." April grabbed him. "Wouldn't she know that what we've been doing in here once she sees me? I don't want that." "What's wrong with that? You are my girlfriend, and isn't it normal that we have these kinds of things?" Erin wanted to tell her that her raw red lips would give them away anyway. April pounded his chest with frustration. "He really has the cheek to say that?" she thought to herself. "Shouldn't you be shy about these things?" "I'm no ordinary man," Erin smirked stupidly. That wasn't a compliment, she thought, and pushed him away. She fished out a tube of concealer from her bag and started applying it on her chest. Aaron watched her from the side. Those were marks left by him, and he was extremely proud of himself. This might be his proudest moment yet. He couldn't help but reach out and hug her from behind. Chuckling, he said, "Apricot, you have such fragile skin. Didn't take much to make those marks. You're the cutest." April had just managed to calm herself down, and now she was blushing inside out again. She turned around and glared at him before walking angrily to the door. She suspected that he would leave many more bruises if she didn't leave right away. "Miss Eisenberg, you look gorgeous in this gown." The stylist greeted her cheekily with a smile the moment she stepped out, her eyes resting on April's red lips and her chest. She paused before diverting her eyes quickly. Episode 147, In the Hanging Gardens. "Miss Eisenberg, please sit here. Let me do your hair." The embarrassed April followed the stylist, thinking that the stylist was really professional. Thankfully, the kiss marks on her skin weren't too obvious. An hour later, April nearly failed to recognize herself in the mirror. The fashionable wavy hair covered one shoulder of hers. She was wearing a pair of pink diamond earrings with tassels and a diamond necklace. The delicate eye makeup made her eyes look bright and charming, sparkling like stars. She was so beautiful and special that she could even stop people from thinking. "Mr. Bennett, she's ready," the stylist reminded Aaron, who was sitting on the couch and looking at his phone. Aaron raised his head and saw her. His pupils dilated as he was shocked by her beauty. April had seen that look in his eyes earlier in the bedroom, so seeing it again, her knees felt weak. Thankfully, the stylist was standing right beside her. "Not bad." Aaron stood up, nodded, and said, "I'll tell Mr. Robbins to double your salary." "Thank you, Mr. Bennett." The stylist happily packed her tools and said, "I'll be leaving then." When the stylist left, Richard walked in. Seeing April, he paused for a few seconds and then said, "My God, are you April? I nearly failed to recognize you. You're like a fairy. Simply gorgeous." April blushed and responded with, "Thank you, Rich. You're too kind." Aaron wasn't so happy about it. He felt that he should be the one complimenting her like that, but Richard had said those words. How should he compliment her then? He never tried to compliment any woman before, so his vocabulary was very limited. "Enough! You're being dramatic," he said to Richard. "Not at all. She's really beautiful." Richard nodded and said, "Benny, why is your girlfriend so pretty? You've raised the bar for my future girlfriend. My future girlfriend can't be worse than yours, can she? Then you can stay single your whole life." Aaron's words made Richard cringe. Richard gave up on continuing this conversation, so he changed the topic and said, "All right, but seriously, Mr. Walters from Cranton is here. He wants to meet us alone in the bar at the top floor to talk about the fundraising program in the UK." Hearing that, Aaron turned to April. "Just go. I'll watch TV here," she said. "You'll get bored staying here alone. Come upstairs with us. There's an Italian-style hanging garden. The view is nice. You can take some pictures. The sun is setting, so it's the perfect time to take pictures," Richard suggested. "After finishing with Mr. Walters, we'll have dinner together, and then attend the charity party." April thought for a moment and then nodded in agreement. At the top floor, April finally realized how beautiful the so-called Italian-style hanging garden was. There were green walls and corridors in the broad space, and in the middle was a small fountain. Soft English songs echoed through the garden. A few guests were sitting in the garden lazily chatting and drinking coffee. People were talking with low voices. Some of them were foreigners and some were American. Every single one of them seemed to be polite and well-educated. Before leaving, Aaron arranged a seat for April and then ordered her a glass of juice. April spent a while waiting for the sunset and then took a few beautiful pictures of the setting sun with her phone. Abruptly, two women walked into the area. One of them was wearing a light blue, high-slit dress, holding a small silver purse. Her long and straight legs were half exposed. The woman had a delicate face with arched eyebrows, a small and pretty nose, and cherry-like lips looking natural and sweet. The lady walking in front of her seemed like she was the assistant. She was wearing a denim jacket and carrying a large tote bag as she lifted the beaded curtain for the lady behind her. April kept her eyes on the pair as they took their seats next to the fountain. After they ordered fruit juices, the lady in the denim jacket looked over to April and caught her gaze. She frowned before whispering something to the pretty lady. The lady glanced at April and paused for a couple of seconds before looking away. She looked down at a thick book in her lap. April took a sip of her juice before heading toward the lady in her high heels. "Hello, Miss Jennifer." The woman in the denim jacket reminded her harshly, "Excuse me, miss. I know you want an autograph, but please observe the regulations in this restaurant. It was extremely rude of you to stare at us earlier on." Sorry, I haven't seen Miss Jennifer in a long time. I just wanted to say hello. April smiled and said apologetically, Do you still remember me, Miss Jennifer? Jennifer finally looked up from her script and stared hard at the beautiful girl in front of her. She found April extremely familiar. You are April Eisenberg. April? Jennifer was shocked and looked at her with surprise and delight. You look so different. You always went for the natural beauty look, innocent like a schoolgirl. You look a lot more mature now, so stunning. April smiled gently, since she only looked different today because she was dolled up for this special event. She heaved a sigh of relief to see Jennifer greet her warmly as she had in the past. Miss Jennifer, you look more beautiful than ever. Come on, you flatter me so. Jennifer put down the script and laughed. Let's sit together. You're still so hard-working. April looked at the script she had put on the table. She didn't expect Jennifer to work as hard as she had before, now that she was so popular. I have to do justice to my profession. Jennifer looked at her with a tinge of apology. I'm sorry about what happened to you. I couldn't render my help then, and I had lost all contact with you. Have you been well the past 2 years? Are you still doing any voice acting? I changed my name to April Kennedy. April was at ease when she felt her warmth. I'm still studying at Langford Art School, and I've dubbed 2 web series last year already. I also took part in a foreign project. Jennifer frowned. It's such a waste of your talent on a small project like that. Give me your contact details. I'm working on a new show, and we'll be going into post-production soon. I'll hire you to be my personal voice actor. Miss Atkinson, her assistant interrupted quickly. Miss Lily already said that Haley Wayne will be doing all of your voices from now on. If you swap her out so hastily, Miss Lily will be angry. I don't think I've signed a contract to hire Haley to be my designated voice actor. Jennifer shrugged. Anyway, I don't think her voice is suited for me. Haven't you seen all the comments on her newly released drama series? People are saying that her voice seemed out of place in those shows. April's voice is much closer to mine, not to mention the fact that Haley is Rosaria's pal. I wanted to fire her long ago. But April was integral to my success back then, when she was my voice actor then in that TV series. Jennifer interrupted her. When I only played small roles back then, April was already a big shot in the voice acting industry. She was willing to do me a favor and dub my lines then, and I'll always remember her kindness. I'm more than willing to do the same for her now. Episode 148. Isaac is the past. April was touched. She had done voice acting for quite a few actresses. Many of them had become famous, but among all, only Jennifer remembered that. Your assistant was saying, began April. Don't you worry, I'll make her agree. But honestly, Jennifer your old friend Rosaria, April's hand, never met anyone as disgusting as her. April gave a bitter smile. The others all thought Jennifer and Rosaria were sworn enemies because Rosaria rose to fame suddenly and Jennifer was jealous of her. Unlike those people, April clearly remembered that years ago, she had introduced Rosaria to Jennifer and hoped that the latter could ask her friend if they needed voice actors. But as a result, Jennifer sneered and continued, You treated her so well, yet she actually stole your fiancé. Last year I saw her at the award ceremony. You can't imagine how proud she was. She started off in the entertainment business later than I did, and she's younger than me, but she has never shown any respect to me because she has Isaac's support. And she often encourages her fans to verbally attack me. April frowned. She also felt that Rosaria was disgusting. Years ago, Rosaria would try anything and everything to kiss up to Jennifer, and Jennifer was rather polite to her despite that. I made the mistake of becoming friends with her, April smiled and said. But after people found out about Mr. Lennox, her reputation has gotten worse. She has lost a few advertisements and TV series. But still, the Davidson Group is still helping her. She's staying in this hotel right now, and Isaac is here too. Jennifer glanced at April with worry, saying, Don't let them see you. Isaac is such an asshole. He's been trying to destroy you. Even worse, he's planning to purchase our company. If I hadn't been trying to stop Mr. Lanner from meeting about the company with him, our company would have become his. About Regalia. April lowered her voice and responded, In fact, Arrington is interested in Regalia as well. Arrington? Jennifer was surprised. I thought that was an investment company. I heard that the owner of Arrington is the future successor of the YCC Group. Jennifer's assistant said, joining the conversation. Currently, Arrington's projects cover multiple fields, from electronic technology to artificial intelligence, but the entertainment business isn't included. The owner is planning to set foot into the business. April smiled and said, so I guess he'll choose to merge with Regalia. The Davidson Group, however, is going to try to devour it before Arrington makes a move. How do you know that? Jennifer raised her eyebrows and asked. It seems like you've experienced a lot these years, too. April smiled. Before she said anything, Aaron called. Come out. We're waiting for you by the entrance. We're going to have dinner. I need to go. My boyfriend's calling me for dinner. Do you have time to join us? April invited Jennifer. I don't think so. My dinner time has already been booked. Jennifer added with surprise. You have a boyfriend? Congratulations. You really should have forgotten about Isaac, that scumbag, long ago. I'll see you at the charity party then. You've dressed up, so you're attending the party too, aren't you? Asked April. Jennifer nodded and replied, Yeah, you're attending the party too? I guess your boyfriend does have a good background. He's the owner of Arrington. April smilingly nodded, then left. Jennifer's assistant clicked her tongue and said, Didn't expect her boyfriend to be such a rich and powerful man. No wonder she showed up here on the top floor. But I bet that rich man is just playing with her. Her assistant frowned. Jennifer, Franklin Shorman has been trying to build connections between the company and the Davidson Group for the longest time. He's a favored artist under Miss Lily, and she won't be pleased about this. Jennifer laughed sarcastically. When Regalia is bought over by the Davidson Group, I'll be under the same company as Rosaria. Do you think the company would still invest resources into me then? If you still want to be my assistant, you'll have to help me keep this a secret. If I go down, we'll go down together. The assistant shut up after hearing what she said. At the garden entrance, Richard and Aaron were waiting for April. What took you so long? Were there any men trying to hit on you? Aaron asked cautiously. What are you saying? The people up there were all posh and of a different class. April held his arms and said, Besides, I'm not that popular, okay? My girlfriend is naturally the most popular. Aaron looked at her arm wrapped around his own and smiled. This was a good sign. She was holding his hands wherever she went. Let's go to the restaurant. I'm starving. Richard hurried then. There's a really good French restaurant here. The restaurant was on the 28th floor, and they took the elevator up. Mr. Robbins had already made reservations, and the three of them took their seats by the window. At the table, Richard and Aaron were busy talking about work-related matters, and April was left alone to enjoy her food by herself. The portion size was small, but the food was prepared with finesse. After dinner, the three of them left the room when it was about time for the charity ball. At the bar, Richard paid the bill while Aaron and April stood behind him. Aaron was playing with her fingers out of boredom. She was wearing the diamond ring that he gifted her. It looked wonderful on her. April was used to him fiddling about and letting her eyes wander around the restaurant. On the other corridor, Isaac was chatting happily with Franklin Shorman, the popular actor. Rosaria and Clark followed behind them. April was shocked when she saw what Rosaria was wearing. Rosaria was wearing the exact same pink gown when she walked closer to her. She was sure that it was the exact same design. When Isaac and Rosaria finally noticed them, they took a while before recognizing April. April looked extremely different from her usual self. Her wavy hair was seductive and sexy, but her dress made her look elegant and classy. Anyone who saw her wouldn't be able to take their eyes off her. Isaac's smile froze when he saw Aaron holding her hand, and his expression looked grim suddenly. He had never seen her dressed this way before, so sexy and mature. She had always looked youthful and innocent in front of him, but today she properly transformed from a young girl into a woman in front of him. Only she was standing beside Aaron. He tried his best to control his emotions the last time he saw her making out with Aaron. He wanted her to realize that Aaron didn't have any value to her and to leave him on her own accord. He bumped into them here yet again. What did this mean? Was she trying to make him jealous? Wearing the exact same dress as Rosaria and all, was she trying to show him that she was much more beautiful than Rosaria? He felt much better after rationalizing his thoughts that way. Episode 149. Find Yourself a Caustic Husband. He walked toward April. Rosaria, who stood behind him, looked extremely embarrassed because she had also noticed that April's dress was exactly the same as hers. What was even worse was that April looked much prettier in the dress than she did. Rosaria believed that April did it on purpose. When two women show up in the same dress, only the less beautiful one would feel embarrassed. Watching a group of people getting close to her, April told herself to calm down. However, her tightened body and shaking hands revealed how nervous she was. Aaron sensed that too. He raised his head to see Isaac, then raised his brows with surprise, saying, "Mr. Davidson, what a coincidence. Good to see you again." "I don't think it's a coincidence." Isaac gave a faint yet sinister smile. "Probably," Aaron nodded and responded with, "Mr. Davidson, you didn't follow us here, did you?" "I don't understand," Isaac said. What Aaron said was also what he wanted to say. "Interesting," Aaron chuckled and continued. "I have such doubts for a good reason, Mr. Davidson. Last time you claimed that my girlfriend was your fiancée." Rosaria gave a start. Richard paid the bill and came back to Aaron's argumentative chatter. He laughed and said, "Yeah? But the last time I saw Mr. Davidson, he said that your girlfriend is his girlfriend's assistant and that your girlfriend tried to seduce him. It's so strange. Which one is real?" Isaac's handsome face turned slightly dark. "Really?" Aaron smiled and lowered his head to ask April with a gentle voice, "Apricot, tell me, is what he said real?" "I'm confused too." April raised her head to stare straight at Isaac, saying, "Mr. Davidson, I thank you for saving me at the Flanders family, but I don't think it's appropriate for you to tell people that I was your fiancé while I was unconscious. We were engaged, indeed, but after that, didn't you hold Rosaria's hands? Bring her to me and tell me that she is 100 times better than me? Didn't you say that she's much more adorable than me and that she's good in bed? Didn't you tell me that you never wanted to marry me? All that happened 2 years ago. Now I finally have a new boyfriend, but again, you try to start a rumor. Isn't that awful?" Aaron blinked and said, "I didn't know that. I think you're good in bed." April blushed and rolled her eyes toward him. She believed that now wasn't the time to say something like that, as so many people could hear it. Isaac's muscles twitched. He told himself that Aaron and April were trying to infuriate him. He said to himself that it was impossible for them to have had sex. Behind him, Rosaria's face had twisted with jealousy. Isaac had actually told Aaron that April was his fiancée. What did Rosaria mean to him then? Beside her, Franklin seemed to show a slight scornfulness when looking at her. She forced a smile and walked up, took Isaac's arm and said, "Mr. Bennett, earlier Isaac was in a bad mood. He must have been joking with you." Before Isaac said anything, Aaron looked at Rosaria and asked with interest, "Who are you?" Rosaria wore an embarrassed look. She was a star after all, so it made her feel awkward when Aaron asked who she was in front of so many people. "Mr. Bennett, I am Rosaria," she responded. "She's famous now. Last year she won the Best Newcomer Award," added April. Aaron nodded, then frankly showed his distaste. "It's pretty obvious that she slept with someone to get that award. How could someone who looks like that become a star? Are her fans blind?" "Mr. Bennett." Rosaria bit her lip and tears were welling up in her eyes. Richard added, "Real, she's wearing the same gown as you." Before April could say anything, Aaron said enthusiastically, "That's right, but I think she's wearing the fake. It looks ridiculous on her. Miss, you should wear something more suitable for yourself. It looks really awkward when you try to wear a new design when you don't have the looks to complement it." "Isaac," Rosaria said pitifully. She looked at Isaac and pleaded for him to say something. Isaac took the opportunity and said, "Mr. Bennett, it's very ungentlemanly of you to speak to a lady this way." "What did I say? I didn't tell her that she was ugly to her face," Aaron said coldly. "I just tried to subtly convey my opinions and advice to her. Would you have preferred it if I called her a great beauty? I think that would have been more disrespectful to lie to her. I mean, she can only improve with honest feedback." April almost wanted to clap for Aaron. He had been very subtle with her already, she thought. His malicious comments could really poison someone to death. This was the first time she felt so delighted hearing his snide comments. "Find yourself a caustic husband and you won't ever need to argue for yourself." Isaac smiled. "Your subtlety really blowed my mind." "I'm impressed by your thick skin, too," Aaron said sympathetically to Rosaria. "Choose the right dress in the future, something that uplifts your status and looks. Don't force your boyfriend to run over to my girlfriend and call her his fiancée. That'll be upsetting." His words were like harsh claps to both of their faces. There were other patrons in the restaurant. Even though Isaac was good at keeping a poker face, it was hard for him to hide his dark expression now. As for Rosaria, her face was a pale sheet and she was on the verge of fainting. "Let's go, Benny. The charity ball is starting in 5 minutes," Richard reminded him with a giggle. "Goodbye, Mr. Davidson." Aaron wrapped his arm around April's waist and waved goodbye with his free hand. He turned and walked away with April. Isaac was seething in anger as he watched them walk away. Nobody dared to say anything around him. At last, Franklin cleared his throat. "Mr. Davidson, I'll go get the bill." This meal is on me." "It's okay. How can I make you pay for the meal?" Isaac patted his shoulders and gestured to Clark to get the bill. "Who is that cocky man, Mr. Davidson?" Franklin asked. "The CEO of Arrington Corporation, Aaron Bennett." Isaac said slowly, "I heard some news about Arrington's intentions on buying over Regalia. They've been asking around the industry. He has seen you with me now. If he buys over Regalia for real, I'm afraid he won't be getting the kind of emphasis placed on you now." Franklin looked serious. "Don't worry, Mr. Davidson. I'll do my best to convince the shareholders of the director board to sell their shares to you." "I'm going up to change, Isaac," Rosaria said palely. "Do we have time for that? It's 3 minutes to the opening." Isaac looked at her coldly. He knew that she wasn't as beautiful as April was. He couldn't see a stark difference in the past, but now that the two of them were wearing the same gown, the difference was like heaven and earth. Episode 150, To be Controlled by a Woman. "But," Rosaria stomped her foot. "Forget it. There are going to be many important guests at the event tonight. It wouldn't reflect well on you if you arrived late. We just recently had a backlash of criticism, so we should be more conscious of our public image right now." Isaac marched towards the elevator. Franklin struggled and said, "If that's going to be the case, then take it easy. At least there aren't any reporters at the event tonight. You should reorganize your own team, though, Miss Rosaria. Someone must have leaked the information regarding the dress you're wearing tonight. Thank goodness that lady wasn't from the entertainment industry." Rosaria clenched her fists in anger. It was definitely no coincidence that April was wearing the same dress as she was. In the elevator, April caught sight of Aaron's smug grin on the reflective surface. He wasn't trying to hide his glee at all. She couldn't help smiling along with him and clutched his arm tighter. "No wonder you're letting me wear this revealing dress, even though you're such a petty and bossy man." "Of course," Aaron grunted and said, "When I made Marvin dig around for Rosaria's choice of outfit tonight, I didn't expect her to pick something so provocative, which honestly looks so pointless on her. I don't understand why she would pick a dress like this. Since you can definitely outshine her in this outfit, I decided to loosen up this time. I'll never let you wear something like this ever again." April burst into laughter. She was laughing when she suddenly paused. She squeezed his arm and said seriously, "You're a real specimen, huh? You were looking at her chest the whole time. I didn't even notice until you mentioned it." Richard burst into laughter beside him. "Real, don't you understand? When men check women out, all they look at is their face, their chest, and their butt. Aaron's just an ordinary man." Aaron gave him a side glance to silence him. "You are the only despicable one here. Don't include me in your generalization. The only reason why I noticed her chest was because of her choice of gown." Richard rolled his eyes at him. It wasn't that small. Aaron was being overly harsh and critical about his girlfriend's nemesis. Aaron said to April, "My own brother has become jealous of me ever since starting a relationship with you. I'm just so lucky that my woman is so darn gorgeous." April blushed. He had been as sweet as honey ever since they started dating. She was receptive to his affections in private, but she was still embarrassed whenever he was like that in front of others. Richard was well shocked. His brother was becoming such a corny man. "You're dead meat if I catch you staring at another woman's chest again." April glared at him and decided to pardon him on account of his plot against Rosaria. "Of course not. I'll only look at yours," Aaron thought. He was over the moon. What a great feeling it was to be controlled by a woman. It proved that she could get jealous over him. What a petty woman, but he loved every bit of it. It showed that he was so charismatic that she couldn't tolerate any bit of imperfection. "What are you smiling about?" Richard sneered when he looked over at Aaron. "You wouldn't understand. You don't have a girlfriend." "Damn, I am single indeed. Why does he keep doing that to me?" Richard silently complained to himself. He decided he had to find a girlfriend as soon as possible. "How did you know Rosaria was going to wear this dress? Is someone in her team working for you?" April asked curiously. "Later. You'll find out how I know much more than you could imagine," Aaron said, giving her a meaningful glance. "Will there be more shows to watch?" April was surprised. "I brought you all the way here, not just to embarrass them in the restaurant," said Aaron mysteriously. April honestly couldn't guess what might happen later, so she became more and more curious about it. Before, she wasn't really interested in the charity party, but now she was excited. The party was taking place in the hotel. Once the three of them walked into the venue, the organizer and some people from the financial circle recognized Aaron and Richard and came to greet them affably. 4 or 5 minutes later, as they were chatting with these people, Isaac, Rosaria, and their people walked in as well. The few people standing near the entrance noticed them instantly. Rosaria, who was wearing the same dress as April, caught the most attention. Mr. Franco, who was relatively frank, glanced at Rosaria and said, "Isn't that Rosaria? She's rather famous suddenly. She's wearing the same dress as Ms. Eisenberg. Before, I saw her on the TV and felt that she was quite pretty, but somehow after seeing Ms. Eisenberg in this dress, I feel that Rosaria is just average. No wonder my wife told me current actresses are mostly dependent on lighting effects and that they only look good on screens." His voice wasn't loud, but it wasn't low either, and they were heard by Rosaria, who was passing by. She was infuriated. However, as the people who attended this charity party were all influential, Rosaria had no other choice but to pretend she had heard nothing and walk toward her seat. "Your wife is right." Aaron didn't like Mr. Franco at first, but after hearing his words, he immediately gave him a smiling glance. "Good. This Mr. Fang seems nice. Maybe we can cooperate next time." At 7:45, Richard guided April and Aaron to the first row. As they walked to the right side of the venue, April paused when seeing Isaac, Rosaria, and a few others who had already sat down. "What Aaron mentioned before doesn't mean that we are going to be sitting together with them, right?" The moment after she had thought that, she heard Richard's laughter. "Mr. Davidson, what a coincidence! We meet again. We've seen each other 3 times in 20 minutes. Fate does bring us all together. Are your seats here?" "Great, our seats are number 7, 8, and 9, right next to yours." "Yeah, it's my pleasure to sit next to Mr. Bennett and Mr. Jones." Isaac wasn't even sure if he should feel delighted or unhappy about it. He felt delighted because April was so close to him, but he felt unhappy because this was definitely not a coincidence. It seemed that Aaron had prepared this. "Sit down." Aaron took the small purse out of April's hands, then slightly lifted her dress for her to sit down easier. She sat next to Aaron, and Aaron sat next to Isaac. Richard sat by April's other side. "Dear wife, later, if you like anything, let me know. I'll buy it for you, no matter how expensive it is," said Aaron gently. His voice wasn't loud, but everyone around him was able to hear it. April shivered slightly, feeling that she had goosebumps. It was the first time she had heard him talk so gently and call her wife. He's really involved in his acting. "Wife?" Isaac clenched his hands, trying to control himself. "I don't think you two have married," he said. Episode 151. Will they fight in the bathroom? "Yeah, we're not married yet, but it's only a matter of time. Young people nowadays enjoy calling each other hubby and wifey anyway. I wasn't used to it at first, but my wife insisted." Aaron patted April's hands lovingly and looked at her with affection. Richard was about to throw up. Isaac knew that he was trying to anger him with his words, but his heart still ached thinking about April calling another man her husband. He was in great pain. After holding himself back for a couple of minutes, he said dully, "Watch your words, Mr. Bennett. It'll be really awkward for the lady if you don't end up marrying her." "True, like how you were engaged to my wife before, Mr. Davidson. It was pretty awkward how your engagement fell apart." Aaron nodded thoughtfully. Isaac uncrossed and crossed his legs again. He was on the verge of punching him. He inhaled a sharp breath to calm himself down. It would be best not to engage Aaron further. Aaron, on the other hand, wasn't about to let him off so easily. It was a golden opportunity to get his revenge. He hadn't forgotten all the heart-piercing things Isaac had said to him at the hospital. Although he couldn't ruin his career right away, he could torture his mind. It was an amusing task for him. He could tell that Isaac still had feelings for April. That would be the only reason why Isaac looked at them with such jealousy and envy, why he would jump into the pool to save April without any hesitation, and why he was so anxious and worried at the hospital. "Oh, right, wifey, we talked about going on a vacation during the winter break, right? Have you thought about where you want to go?" Aaron rested his arm on April's shoulders. "Let's go to the beach and stay at one of those floating villas. We can go stargazing at night." "All right, hubby." April decided to play along with the act and smiled. Isaac felt a sharp pain in his chest. She had never addressed him that way before. She was calling another man her hubby. He was heartbroken and could no longer take it. He stood up abruptly and said, "I'm going to the restroom." Rosaria glared viciously at April. "What are you looking at?" Aaron hissed. "Are you jealous of my wife's beauty?" "I know you're jealous. Do you want me to recommend a plastic surgery clinic to you? My company is invested in one now. I can give you a discount on the account of Isaac, of course." Rosaria was speechless. She cursed him in her mind. She had never met a man who was so brazenly mean before. "Wifey, you sit here with Richard. I need the restroom, too." Aaron released her hand and stood up. April blinked in disbelief. Was he going to pester Isaac at the toilet as well? That would be a little excessive, wouldn't it? She should be the one obsessed with getting revenge. He was so full of aggressiveness, there was no need for her to defend herself at all. In the men's room, Isaac splashed his face with cold water. He slowly pulled out a silver engagement band from his pocket. It was the ring that he had picked out with April at the mall the day they got engaged. They were so in love then, but now she was with another man, laughing by his side, calling him her husband. He thought the most painful part was not being able to tell her how much he loved her. He was wrong. The most painful part was watching her fall in love with someone else. He was in so much pain and unbearable misery. "That's not the ring you gave April years ago, is it?" Aaron's chuckles were heard from behind. Isaac suddenly turned back. Aaron stood behind him, looking at him with a pair of dark eyes, wearing a faint smile. "Mr. Bennett, you're following me really closely." Isaac dropped his face immediately and said, "What do you want?" "I just want to see you get mad." Aaron smiled scornfully and responded with, "Last time, when April was unconscious, you said quite a lot to try to tear us apart." "I wasn't trying to tear you apart. I just said the truth." Isaac abruptly gave a smile and then said, "Aaron, are you jealous?" "Jealous?" Aaron snorted and said, "Isaac, I assume you clearly know if what you said is true or not." The corners of Isaac's eyes twitched slightly. A drop of sweat fell from his hair onto the corner of his lips, which were pressed tightly together. Seeing the look on his face, Aaron lowered his voice further and continued, "Do you know how well I know April? From head to toe, she knows exactly what size I am." Isaac gave a cold smile and responded with, "So what? She knows mine too. After all, we were together for a long time." Aaron replied carelessly, "What I said includes my man size." Isaac stayed silent. Aaron delightfully added, "And my duration." Isaac stared at him in the eyes. Both of them seemed to release fire from their eyes. Isaac clenched his fists so tight that a bone-cracking noise was heard. He really wanted to kick Aaron's ass in the bathroom. However, he was clearly aware of the fact that he was no match for Aaron because Graham told him that Aaron used to be a special force soldier. Besides, it wasn't the time for him to turn against Aaron openly yet. However, he really couldn't stand it anymore. He wanted to carelessly tear Aaron into pieces when he thought of how April might have slept with Aaron. "Aaron, the party is going to begin. I'll take my leave." At last he took a step backward, turned, and left the bathroom. Aaron leaned against the washbin, looking at Isaac's back with a smile. He thought that Isaac would attack him. If that happened, he might be able to beat Isaac up in the bathroom. Isaac was once engaged to this woman. God knew how hard he had been trying to control his anger about it. However, he was surprised to find that Isaac was pretty good at putting up with him. In the venue, April had been glancing at the bathroom from time to time. "Will they fight in the bathroom?" Richard spoke out April's thoughts. April turned to look at him and then found the sweetly smiling Jennifer walking over while greeting the people around her. When making eye contact with April, Jennifer raised her eyebrows with surprise, but soon she gave a meaningful smile when seeing Rosaria and Franklin, who were just one seat away from April. While shaking hands with April, Jennifer looked at Richard and said, "April, you're sitting here too. Is this your boyfriend? He's so handsome. He's even better looking than some of the popular actors in our company." She also quickly glanced at Franklin, who wore an embarrassed look when hearing her words. April didn't know how to react. She knew that Jennifer and Franklin were working for the same company. Her words are even as mean as Aaron's. Richard didn't know as much as April did, but he managed to recognize Jennifer. It was their first time meeting, yet Jennifer's compliments had already disabled him from not smiling. He used to be especially confident of himself, but recently he was depreciated cruelly by Aaron, and his confidence had suffered heavy blows. Now he felt he was being healed entirely by the girl in front of him. Episode 152. Mr. Bennett is really a man of virtue. "You too, Miss Jennifer. You're so much prettier in real life than on television or in photos. You're glowing, unlike the other female celebrities who cake themselves with makeup. Some of them make me think that all their photos were photoshopped. They don't look good in real life at all." Richard stood up and shook her hand. He glanced at Rosaria casually. Rosaria wanted to vomit blood. Why did they have to drag Franklin and herself into this? The corner of April's lips curved into a smile. She was chuckling on the inside. The two of them had used the opportunity to throw shade at the other two at the same table. She realized that she was only a bit player in tonight's show, even though she was the one with the grievances and old scores to settle. The people around her were so fired up. Rosaria had probably offended too many people in the past. "Miss Jennifer, you're mistaken. He's not my boyfriend. He's Richard Jones, my boyfriend's good buddy," April explained gently. "Laugh to death? Jennifer was stunned, but she quickly realized that she was being rude and nodded. Oh, yeah? I'm sorry, your name is quite special and interesting. Richard's smiling face froze, and he said, Richard means brave and uninhibited. Jennifer nodded. My name is Jennifer. I'll be sitting beside you tonight, Mr. Jones. Do you want to change seats with me since you're friends with April? Richard offered. Thank you, then. Jennifer accepted his kind gesture. The moment they took their seat, Isaac appeared, looking grim. His face was as pale as snow. April felt something stuck in her throat. What had Aaron done? Isaac was always enigmatic and hard to figure out. She was always infuriated whenever she bumped into him. It was rare to see him so livid. Isaac took his seat and stared at April with fury. She felt uncomfortable and irritated, so she said, Isaac, have you seen my husband? He went to the men's room as well. Isaac was hopping mad. He was just about to say something when April suddenly cast her gaze somewhere behind him. She was smiling ear to ear at Aaron, who was walking suavely with his hands in his pockets. He frowned when he caught sight of the stranger sitting beside April. Why did you change your seat, Richard? Who is this woman? This is Jennifer. I was telling you about her, April explained hastily. I didn't expect to bump into her here. Jennifer, this is my boyfriend, Aaron Bennett. Hello, Mr. Bennett, Jennifer said politely. She noticed how wary he was with strangers and decided to address him more formally. Aaron nodded at her in acknowledgement. Look, his woman was introducing him as her boyfriend. What did you say to Isaac in the men's room? April whispered curiously. It's a secret between men. The charity event started promptly at 8 o'clock. It was an auction of donated items, and the proceeds would go to a foundation for children with leukemia. The first item was a landscape painting by a modern contemporary artist. It wasn't a historical collectible, so the bid started off at $10,000. At $30,000, Aaron suddenly raised his hand. $100,000. The host was shocked, as the painting was overpriced even at $30,000. $100,000 by Mr. Bennett. What a generous man. Under the gazes of the others who were whispering to each other, Aaron crossed his legs, proudly raised his chin, and said with a cold and clear voice, Since this is a charity event, why are we caring so much about the price of the piece? The most important thing is that we're going to help those children with leukemia. Perhaps if we pay more, one more life will be saved. His words brought him self-praise from almost all the others in the venue. Even April looked at him in a different way, saying, Dunting, I didn't know that you like to help others. Mr. Bennett really is a man of virtue. The MC who held the microphone couldn't stop complimenting Aaron. Isaac clenched his teeth and raised his bidding paddle. $1.5 million. $1.8 million, Aaron said, raising the price further. $2 million, said Isaac. This time, Aaron stayed silent. The MC looked at him and asked, Mr. Bennett, are you going to bid higher? No. Aaron shook his head. Isaac finally sighed with relief. Looking at Aaron, he said, Aaron, didn't you say that if we pay more, one more life will be saved? Aaron nodded, glanced at him, and responded with, Yes, but the one who paid $2 million for a modern landscape painting might be seen as an idiot. Isaac's pupils shrank and his heart nearly exploded because of anger. The corners of April's mouth twitched intensely. She was honestly impressed by Aaron. Turned out that he had said all the nice words earlier just to entrap Isaac. April admitted that she overestimated Aaron's virtue. However, seeing Isaac trying so hard to keep himself from losing his temper, she felt rather delighted. So the first piece was sold to Isaac like that. For the second and third piece, Aaron didn't make a move. The fourth piece was a blue and white porcelain vase. The starting price was $2,800,000. When someone offered $4 million, Aaron raised his bidding paddle and said, $6 million. The venue stirred again. Isaac curved his lips into a smile, raised his bidding paddle, and followed, $8 million. $10 million, said Aaron. Hearing that price, all the others turned to Isaac. At that point, anyone with discerning eyes had figured out that Isaac was competing against Aaron on purpose. This time, Isaac didn't bid higher, but smilingly said to Aaron, Aaron, since you like this piece so much, I'll just give it up. You laughed at me earlier, but now you're going to pay $10 million for an average blue and white porcelain vase. What a fool. Aaron gave a smile and then said with a loud voice, Thank you, Isaac. I was waiting for you to bid higher so I could pay this piece at a better price to help some more underprivileged children. What a shame. How about this? I'll add $5 million. I'll pay $15 million for this vase so we can build a few more primary schools for the needy children who are living in the mountain areas. Mr. Bennett, on behalf of those children, I thank you for what you have done. The MC excitedly started clapping. Soon the venue was overwhelmed by applause and praises. Aaron smilingly stood up, waved his hand, then gently made a bow. April was a little speechless. It's such a waste that this man isn't competing for an Oscar. Isaac's face had blushed crimson at the moment. He even wanted to chop up Aaron and chew him up. Before, he barely made any contact with Aaron and was only impressed by his proudness, but now he found Aaron was so shameless that he could even turn black to white. Rosaria held Isaac's hand and said, "Isaac, calm down. Stop bidding." Isaac coldly threw away her hands and gave her a threatening glance. Episode 153. If she's half drunk, someone else will get a chance. Isaac pushed her hands away and glared at her coldly. Rosaria pursed her lips spitefully and turned to glare at April. She hated her guts. April felt aggrieved. She had no idea what stunt Aaron was going to pull. It wasn't her plan. Jennifer tugged her arm and gave her a thumbs up. She whispered, "Thank goodness your boyfriend isn't in the entertainment industry. He would win Best Actor, no doubt." April chuckled. Aaron held her hand gently, raised it to his face, and planted a firm kiss. It was yet another blow to Isaac. At 9:40 p.m., the charity auction had ended. There had been 30 items available, and Aaron had been the star of the entire auction. When the event ended, he was surrounded by many celebrities and business tycoons who were all singing his praises. Isaac was about to slip away quietly when Aaron called out to him, "Isaac, you are a big stakeholder in the entertainment industry. The movie estate has earned you tens of millions of dollars easily. You only donated $4 million tonight. I hope you can participate more actively in the future. You shouldn't be keeping all your money in your own pocket. There are so many children out there in need of our financial support. It won't mean much to you, but it could potentially change the lives of less privileged family in a rural village," Aaron said thoughtfully. If April hadn't known better about the tricks up his sleeve, she would have been moved by his sensational speech. One of the more senior businessmen said in approval, "Not only is Master Bennett young and successful, but you also have a heart of gold. CEO Caitlin really taught her grandson well. If I had a grandson like you, I would have sweet dreams every night." "Uncle Newman, I'm just trying my best to do the right thing," Aaron said humbly. Isaac watched the conversation and wished he could throw his shoe at Aaron's face. He should really go into acting. Isaac had never met anyone as fake as Aaron, even after all those years in the business. Isaac would have been much more generous if he had been in a better mood. Now he looked as if he were a shrewd and calculating businessman after Aaron's noble and altruistic lecture. He had made himself look like a saint. There was nothing Isaac could do about it. "Aaron, you've taught me quite a lesson. I'll remember what you've said tonight," Isaac said through gritted teeth and promptly took his leave. "Look at him. He's so indignant," Aaron said to Newman. "My grandfather always told me not to forget the poor when you enjoy the riches of the world." Newman said with approval, "Don't hold it against him. He's just a despicable man who earned his place with the help of a woman. A petty figure." April was shocked. How did people know about that? Why do you say so, Newman?" Aaron raised his brows. "I only found out recently. You've heard about what happened to Edward Lewis, right? Although he got what he deserved, his daughter was sadly implicated as well. I heard that Isaac was engaged to his daughter and stole the Lewis Corporation from the moment her father went to jail. Apparently she was robbed of everything. What an immoral man. She was the reason he could enter the Lewis Group in the first place. The worst part is that he banned her from entering the entertainment industry after that. She couldn't even find a job. Who knows where she is now?" Paused briefly, Newman wore a serious look and said, "Don't think Uncle Newman is lying to you. That's real. Many from the entertainment circle know it. That man is too brutal. In my opinion, he definitely got close to Ms. Lewis on purpose. He was aiming for her family business since the beginning. I hate that kind of people the most. They've even given up on their conscience for money." "Oh, yeah?" Aaron showed distaste on his face and then said, "That's hateful indeed. I should stay away from those kinds of people. If any of your friends ever cooperate with Isaac, don't forget to warn them so they won't get entrapped by him. Tell me about it. Earlier, you said that he should donate more to help the needy children, but how could he possibly be willing to do that? He cares about nothing but money." Newman sighed and continued, "I'm flying back to my hometown tonight. We should have some tea together when you have time. I'll be leaving now." "See you, Uncle Newman." Aaron politely waved his hand. After seeing Uncle Newman off, Aaron turned back to find the strange look in April's eyes. "April, is this the Mr. Bennett you mentioned earlier? Is he the one who wants to buy regalia?" Jennifer walked over with a sweet smile. Aaron raised his brows slightly and said frankly, "Can you help me?" "Mr. Bennett, you're really straightforward." Jennifer raised her chin and responded frankly as well. "This place isn't good enough. I think we need to talk privately. I'm busy tonight. Tomorrow morning you can talk to Richard from our company." Aaron pointed at Richard with his chin. Richard was confused. He asked, "Will you be busy tomorrow morning, too? April and Jennifer are friends, so I think maybe we can have breakfast together." "I don't want to have breakfast with you. I want to have breakfast alone with April," Aaron responded distastefully. Jennifer smiled. Richard rolled his eyes and replied, "Perfect. I'd like to have a meal with a pretty lady alone as well. April, are you free tonight? The bar at the top floor is nice. I think we can hang out there and talk about voice acting," Jennifer said to April. April turned to Aaron. She thought that he would disagree, but to her surprise, he thought shortly and nodded. He then said, "Richard and I are going out for a meeting tonight, and we'll come back late. It'll be good for you to hang out with Jennifer." "Where are you going?" Aaron's reaction made April suspicious. "You're not going to some other place filled with women, are you?" she asked. "You're such a stingy, jealous little girl. We're not even married yet, and you're already trying to control me." Aaron gently pinched her cheek with a warm smile. He understood her. After all, he was so charming, and there were countless girls outside who wanted him. However, he believed that she should believe in him, as he was different from the immoral Isaac. April's face was twisted by Aaron's hands, so she patted the back of his hand. Then Aaron turned to Richard and said, "Explain it to her. I'm really helpless." Richard was speechless, feeling that Aaron was showing off. "We're going to meet the owner of a financial management company, which has developed a popular app. We intended to cooperate with this company. It's a rather important case. If it wasn't, not even 10 horses could drag him away from you tonight," said Richard. "Don't drink too much alcohol," said April. At the entrance, the 2 men and the 2 women went their separate ways. After taking the elevator down, Richard abruptly asked, "It's so strange. Usually you keep April as if she was a prisoner, but why'd you let her go to the bar with Jennifer tonight?" "I'll ask Manager Robbins to send a man to keep an eye on her. She'll be fine." Aaron paused slightly, then glanced at Richard with scorn and continued, "This is why you can't get a girlfriend. She will goes to the bar and gets half drunk, then someone else will get a chance." Episode 154. I'm your elder sister, so how can you hold me to sleep? Richard's mouth was gaping. After a while, he said, "Fuck." It was 11:30 p.m. April was at the bar with Jennifer. The 2 of them reminisced about the times they'd worked together, and they slowly finished an entire bottle of wine. When they walked back to their rooms, April felt a little lightheaded. She was a lightweight in the first place, and she was feeling tipsy from the wine. Back in the room, she prepared to shower, seeing that Aaron wasn't back yet. When she saw flower petals placed beside the bathtub, she couldn't resist taking a hot bath. As she admired the night scene from the bathtub, she slowly sobered up, but she felt an overwhelming sense of sleepiness. Thinking about what happened during the day, she thought about how the bathroom was designed with an open concept, and she didn't want Aaron to catch her in such a compromising situation. She decided to quickly dry and dress before he came back. As she put on the bathrobe and dried her hair, she heard a series of footsteps entering the living room. "Careful. Easy. Careful." Richard's voice could be heard. She twisted her hair into a bun and walked out of the bathroom. Richard was propping Aaron on the couch, and Aaron looked like he had had one too many drinks. His jacket was strewn to the side, and his shirt was unbuttoned at the top, revealing his sexy chest. "What happened, Brother Richard?" April asked anxiously. Richard turned to look at her, and a wave of heat spread through his body. April was wearing a pink robe, and her skin looked radiant and soft. Parts of her hair were framing her petite face, and he could smell the bath lotion on her skin. Any normal man would be mesmerized by her. He chanted a Buddhist scripture in his mind and prayed for April in his head. Aaron had purposely drunk a little too much, and now he was acting like he was completely drunk. He obviously had other intentions in mind. "April, you won't be able to escape tonight. We were at a business meeting at the club, and one of the bosses kept toasting us. We didn't bring our assistants along, so we had to drink up ourselves. Little Benny isn't such a great drinker, so we got drunk quite quickly." Richard sighed in pretense. "You take care of him. I'm quite dizzy too, so I'm going to go head to bed." Richard stumbled out. When she heard the door click shut, April walked towards Aaron, and she shook him gently. "Aaron, wake up." Aaron peeped through his mostly shut eyes. His vision was a little blurry, so he shook his head vigorously. When he caught sight of April, he was overwhelmed with a wave of heat. The woman in front of him was bending over, and he could see her cleavage through the low neckline. She was wearing a bra, and it was a magnificent sight. Aaron stuttered, April, you're so beautiful." It was rare for her to see him in such a stupor, and she burst out laughing. "Let me carry you in my arms to the bedroom." He didn't want her to carry him in her arms. I don't want that. Just give me a hand." "No, I need to carry you in my arms." I've carried you before, and you said so yourself that I was as strong as a bull. April smiled slyly and started lifting him up. She hadn't worked as a carer for too long, so her strength wasn't as good as before. When he was turned by her, Aaron suffered an awful dizziness that made him want to die. The most humiliating moment of his life was when April carried him in her arms. Today, he was 70% drunk. He was able to drink a lot in the past, though, so today, even though he was feeling a little dizzy, his mind stayed clear. When he came in, he pretended to be completely drunk, so if he suddenly became clear-minded again, April would know that he had been pretending. Therefore, no matter how ashamed he felt, he had to keep pretending. April carried him to the door with great effort. She looked like she was about to exhaust herself. She regretted deciding to carry him. She had overestimated herself. Have you gained weight? You're as heavy as a pig, April murmured. She thought that he might not be able to memorize the things that happened tonight as he was drunk. I didn't gain weight. Aaron's dry voice sounded a little childish. How could I gain weight? My body is just perfect, with no extra fat and efficient muscles. How can you stay so narcissistic even when you're drunk? Are you really drunk or are you pretending? Asked April. Aaron's heart missed a beat. He let out a breath, reeking of booze at her face, saying, Of course, I'm not drunk. I'm perfectly sober. I can take 10 more bottles. Just keep bragging. April clenched her teeth and put him on the large bed. Since she tried too hard, her body leaned forward and ended up dragging into his arms. Besides the smell of alcohol, the scent of male hormones had also been radiating from his body. April blushed, and she hurriedly tried to get up. However, Aaron wrapped his limbs around her like an octopus. He coiled his long legs around her waist while whispering with the deep and hoarse voice, Don't go, April. I don't want you to go. This posture nearly gave April a mental breakdown. Aaron was underneath her. She was lying upon him, hands by his face, and his legs were wrapping around her waist. She hadn't slept with any man yet, but she knew how it might happen. Wasn't this a position? However, their positions were reversed. She was on top of him. Now she believed that he was really drunk. Otherwise, how would this proud man let her be on top? Let go of me. I'll be right next door. April tried to persuade him with a gentle voice, as if he was a child. No, I want to hold you to sleep. Aaron put his arms around her neck. His eyes sparkled like the stars. April's heart raced and her face blushed crimson. She finally understood why so many men would feel it hard to resist when a woman put her arms around their necks from underneath them. It turned out that a man could be tempting too when his arms were around your neck. And the man underneath April was way too handsome and charming. Normally this man was standing high above the masses, but now he was just proud and adorable. Stop. I'm your elder sister, so how can you hold me to sleep? April had a wicked idea. She lied to him. You used to call me Sister April. Aaron felt a little speechless. This woman is really evil. She thinks I'm wasted. When did I call her Sister April? Richard called her that. April, you're lying. I'm drunk, but I can clearly remember that you're my woman. Aaron turned around and pinned her down. April gave a start. She tried to sit up, but his legs, which were upon her, were as heavy as stones. I'm dead. I went for wool and came home shorn. Episode 155. Sleeping like this was even better. Note, dear listeners, the following episode contains explicit content. Kindly skip to the next episode in case you feel uncomfortable with such subjects. After being flipped to the bottom, April's waistband was loosened and the bathrobe hugged her limply. She quickly tried to excuse herself before anything else was revealed. Don't lie on top of me. Let me go get you a warm towel to clean your face. No. April, I feel so nauseous and dizzy. Aaron collapsed on top of her, and then he buried his face into the nape of her neck and breathed beside her ear. It was her sensitive spot. She immediately felt a wave of heat overwhelm her, building from her lower abdomen. Don't, April whispered. Her voice was sweet like honey and irresistible. April, don't leave me. Sleep with me tonight. Aaron started to undress. Before April could react, his shirt was thrown aside and her bathrobe was as good as gone. She was about to resist him when he started planting kisses all over her body. Although she had already sobered up, she was slightly buzzed, and with everything moving slower tonight, she began to drift in and out of consciousness as he continued to trail down her body with his warm lips. Don't worry, April. I won't penetrate you tonight. If I do, I'm a bastard. I'm a man of my word. He groaned into her lips and beside her ears as his hot hands traveled up along the curves of her waist. April was overwhelmed, and she felt the warmth spreading all over her body, his temperature adding to hers. Suddenly, he grabbed her hand and pulled it towards his member. April was shocked. Although she had touched it before in the past when she took care of him, she had never gripped it so tightly and intimately. He wasn't lying about how impressive his size was. She was taken aback by his member, but he didn't notice her surprise. He didn't penetrate her that night, but they did everything in between. She was absolutely embarrassed. At 1 a.m., Aaron laid next to her and drifted off to sleep. He had never felt this sort of exhilaration before in his life. He was a man touched by his woman now. April was wide awake, although she was physically drained, especially her hands. She didn't want to think about what had just happened. It was a completely new experience for her. She never thought she would be the type to do something like that, but this guy was so insistent she had succumbed to him in the heat of the moment. The more she thought about it, the more embarrassed she felt, and she bit down on the arm that was circled around her. "Hey, April, I'm beat. I'll give it to you tomorrow," Aaron mumbled as he stroked her cheeks. This guy was so thick, she wasn't trying to suggest anything more scandalous. "Let me go. I'm going to wash my hands," April pleaded desperately. "Wash them tomorrow. We can wash up together." He kissed her shoulders and hugged her tighter. What a joke. If she had the chance to get out of bed, she would run back to her room immediately. He wanted to hug her to sleep all night. It would be wonderful. Two naked bodies against each other. April had no more left within her to protest. His arm was as heavy as lead, and she resigned herself to sleeping beside him. Every time she closed her eyes, what happened last night would replay in her mind like slides. The scenes reemerged in her head one after another, and every one of those images made her eyes turn red and her heart race. At last, she slowly fell asleep because it was late and she was exhausted. In the morning, the sheer curtain fluttered gently. Aaron woke up first. He opened his eyes to find April in his arms. The blanket covered their bodies, only exposing their shoulders. His skin had an olive color, while hers was as white as milk. She lied on her side. Half of her shiny black hair was spread on the large bed, the other half coiled on her arm. Under the blanket, their skin clung tightly. He felt a sweetness from his heart. So this is how a man will feel when sleeping together with a woman. Recalling that the last few times when they slept together was with their clothes on, he now felt that this was so not intimate. He remembered that when he was a soldier, he had two friends in the army who were a couple of years older than him. Every time they went on vacation, they would get anxious to go home so they could sleep together with their wives. Sleeping was a good thing, but sleeping like this was even better. Aaron lowered his head to gently kiss April's hair. At that moment, April's eyelashes moved slightly. Seeing that she was about to open her eyes, Aaron hurriedly lied back down, closed his eyes, and pretended to be asleep. April woke up, finding herself in a strange, large bed. Through the French window, she saw the blue sky. Her back was clinging to a warm chest. She slept tight because she was too tired last night. It took her a while to recall that she wasn't in the flat near her school, and instead she traveled with Aaron yesterday, and last night Her face immediately turned red. She decided to sneak out before he woke up. Even if she failed to do so, she should at least put some clothes on. However, she tried for a while but failed. Even worse, something that was pressing against her back was rising again. She froze. "April, are you trying to seduce me so early in the morning?" A man's lazy voice was heard. April wanted to cry but failed to shed any tears. She spent some effort trying to pull his hands away, and then she wrapped herself up with the blanket and sat up angrily, looking back. She was going to complain, but once she saw him, she was dumbfounded. Just now she wrapped herself with a blanket, but didn't notice that she had taken away a big half of the blanket which covered Aaron's body. At that moment, only his lower legs were still covered in the blanket, while the rest of his body was entirely exposed. She had seen his body multiple times, but now she was in a different situation. "April, if you want to see my body, just tell me. You know exactly how many scars I have anyway." Aaron didn't pull the blanket back, but turned his body and rested his chin on his palm, as he believed that he would look more charming this way. "Who wants to see your body?" April blushed scarlet while trying to cover his body with the blanket. As she tried to cover part of his body, he reached out an arm and pulled her toward him. Then he sat up, arms around her waist, looking as proud as a peacock. "Before, some people said that my body is perfect. Are you satisfied with it?" "Don't make me so sick early this morning." April rolled her eyes. "Are you pregnant?" "But I don't think I penetrated you last night," Aaron joked. "Weren't you drunk last night?" April turned back alertly. Episode 156. He had rarely met a girl who complimented his appearance. I was drunk, but how could I possibly forget what happened last night? Especially what happened last night. Erin tilted her chin towards his face. Her face was flushed with embarrassment as he looked into her eyes with intensity. I would never forget our first time. That wasn't our first time. Nothing happened between us. April was going mad. She was extremely flustered. I know. I meant the first time we were so intimate. Erin's lips curled into a smile. Why are your cheeks so hot? Are you embarrassed? There's nothing to be embarrassed about. You should get used to this sooner rather than later. She was at a loss for words and lowered her head shyly. Don't worry, April. I will be responsible for you. I won't let you down in this lifetime, Erin said affectionately. April was taken aback. She felt a wave of emotion overwhelm her. After a while, she silently nestled her head into his chest. If she didn't like him for real, she wouldn't have gone so far with him the night before. It was going to happen anyway. She could start preparing herself. She couldn't help but think about their disparity in terms of their social standing as she lay in his arms. He came from such an impressive background, unlike her. Would they really have a happy ending? Why are you so quiet? Are you touched by what I said? Erin leaned forward to kiss her lips. I haven't brushed my teeth. April pulled away. She was concerned about her stale morning breath. Neither have I. Erin nibbled on the lobe of her ear and said seriously, April, I want you again. April turned quickly to climb out of bed, but Erin pulled her closer with his strong arms. I don't want you, April shouted. I want you, though, Erin whispered pitifully in her ear as he continued to kiss her fervently. My hand is sore, April protested. My hand isn't. I can do the work today. He leaped at the opportunity. Work? What work? Was he going to... Before April could reply, Erin's hands had already crept down slyly. Don't! April stiffened up like a plank before she started writhing around. Don't? Erin glanced at her quickly. Women are all like that. They preach one thing but act differently. She's obviously enjoying herself, writhing and groaning, Erin thought to himself. Her legs were cooperating with his advances. He loved her antics. He knew she wanted this. Although she was protesting verbally, he would never have to worry about the lack of excitement in bed with her. When April let out a loud moan at the end, he insisted that she return the favor, and she was made to satisfy his needs as well. Later at the buffet, Richard had dialed Erin's cell phone twice without any response. He cursed him in his mind. How feverish had things gotten last night for him to be knocked out until now? Or was he doing part 2 in the morning? Good morning, Mr. Richard. A lady sat opposite him. Jennifer was wearing a knitted turtleneck dress and carrying a baby pink coat on her arm. A pair of decorative glasses sat on the bridge of her defined nose, and she was wearing a red lip with her hair up in a bun. She looked edgy and sweet at the same time. Richard paused. He quickly put down his phone and said, Morning. Not sure what you like for breakfast, so I took a little bit of everything. These are all the healthier options. I know celebrities are hardcore calorie counters. Jennifer glanced at the table, saw black truffle, layer cakes, crab powder, fried breadsticks, sandwiches, and other dishes. Mr. Richard, are you trying to gain weight? Jennifer asked in an indirect way. Richard picked himself a black truffle while saying, Is there a problem? I won't get fat by eating this. Jennifer took a sip of milk and then said, Mr. Richard, I want to talk with you about Regalia. That is the plan of our Splingo. You may take a look. Richard pushed the contract to her and replied, I know that Magma Group is planning on purchasing Regalia as well. To be honest, Magma Group is a film company itself, so once they purchase you, there'll be no place for the owner of Regalia. However, Splingo is different. We are intending to set foot into the entertainment circle, but we don't have any relative experiences. After purchasing you, we won't kick your boss out. On the contrary, we'll give him 20% of the shares. Jennifer was tempted. Mr. Richard, you are very frank, she said. Ms. Jennifer, if you can make this happen, you'll be able to purchase Regalia's share as well. We'll sell 20% of the shares to the artists who are working for the company. Richard's pale face showed shallow dimples. Ms. Jennifer, you and Rosaria Miller are competitors. If you work for the Magma Group as well, will they give you the best resources? Besides, as far as I know, there'll still be 3 years to go until your contract with Regalia expires. Am I right? Jennifer nodded, put the contract into her purse, and responded with, Your offer is very tempting. I'll try my best to persuade my boss. Jennifer, no wonder you were sitting so close with the people from Splingo yesterday. You're not going to help them buy Regalia, are you? Franklin's voice was suddenly heard from behind. Jennifer turned back and found Franklin and his manager standing beside her. None of your business, Jennifer said coldly. Franklin pointed at Jennifer's nose and said angrily, "Good for you, Jennifer. Last night, Ms. Lilly arranged for us to enter the venue together, yet I didn't even see a trace of you. And during the party, you sat together with April, and you teased me on purpose. Are you afraid that I might tell Ms. Lilly about all this?" Richard frowned. Jennifer abruptly stood up and responded with, "Go tell him. Why should I be afraid of you? Franklin, I clearly know how many dirty tricks you've played behind my back. Besides, Mr. Richard here is much more handsome than you. He has dimples, and he looks like an innocent yet mature boy. I'm telling the truth. Do you disagree? If you do, just compare yourself with him." "You?" Franklin glanced at Richard. He didn't know Richard, but he knew that Richard was with Erin last night. "Don't point at her. It's impolite." Richard stood up and pushed aside Franklin's finger, which was pointing at Jennifer. He had rarely met a girl who complimented his appearance like Jennifer just did, so without a doubt, he wouldn't let anyone bully her. "Jennifer, just wait and see." Franklin gave Jennifer a warning glance, then left with anger. Jennifer snorted, then sat back down and said to Richard apologetically, "I'm sorry, Mr. Richard. He and I never liked each other." "I can tell." Richard rubbed his chin and replied, "Yesterday I saw him with Isaac." Franklin has always been quite close with the Magma Group. Recently, he's been accepted the job offer of a TV series which is invested in by the Magma Group. He'll be the leading actor. We have the same manager, but our manager treats him better. Episode 157. Compared with me, Isaac is just inexperienced. Jennifer shrugged. He has a huge part to play in the Magma Group's acquisition of Regalia Film. Did I forget to tell you? He holds 3% of Regalia's Film's shares. "I get it now. Miss Jennifer is giving me an insider tip." Richard smiled happily. In the Lakeview suite, April walked out of the shower and noticed her legs were a little sore. When she checked in the bathroom, she saw a bit of her skin had chafed. Her thighs were red and angry-looking. It must have been from too much friction. She wished that she could stay in the bathroom forever every time she thought about what had happened earlier. How did he have all that vitality and energy? She was baffled. They did it once last night and spent another good hour doing it this morning. They weren't even doing the real thing. They probably would never have gotten out of bed if they had really done it. In the living room, Aaron was sprawled confidently on the sofa. It hadn't taken long for him to clean himself up. His hair was gelled and he looked energetic and radiant. When she walked into the room, she felt his piercing gaze fixed on her like a predator eyeing its prey. "April, are you hungry?" Aaron asked. "Yeah, I'm really hungry." April let out a sigh of relief. Thank goodness he didn't say anything too embarrassing. "Yes, if you had agreed to shower with me earlier, we would have saved so much time. We would have been at breakfast by now and you wouldn't be complaining about being hungry," Aaron said matter-of-factly. She had underestimated him. He was shameless, pinning his hopes on showering together after the entire morning of events. "Don't you think that you should order breakfast for your lady when she tells you that she's hungry? Why did all the romantic and movie-like gestures disappear the moment they got there?" "You've only been taking advantage of me so far anyway," April said indignantly. She was getting upset. This was the first time she had been treated like this by a man, starved until her stomach cramped. He was still busy thinking about how to take further advantage of her. Before she realized it, tears were welling up in her eyes. Aaron had only seen her cry once before, and that was at the hospital. It all happened so quickly, he wondered if she was crying out of hunger. He was at a loss for what to do. "I only raised the subject because I was afraid that you would be hungry." April glared at him. He was still going on about his lies. Aaron looked away sheepishly and stood up. "I'll call the restaurant and ask them to deliver breakfast. It's so ridiculous that they don't offer room service here, especially for the price we paid for the suite. How can they starve my girl like this? We're never coming back here again." He started dialing their number on the in-room telephone. When the line connected, he started scolding the receptionist on the other end before she could even greet him. The girl replied hesitantly, "I thought you instructed us not to deliver breakfast this morning and not to disturb your rest. Fine, I'll let it go since you've realized your mistake. Don't commit this kind of error again. Bring breakfast up. My girlfriend is starving." He hung up before the receptionist could say another word. He looked up and said, "The hotel said that they will be delivering food very soon. Don't be mad at me anymore. If you're really hungry, there are instant noodles here. I can make some for you." She wasn't so hungry, but was instead mad at him. Ignoring him, she turned and poured herself a glass of warm water. "April." Aaron walked to her, looking down at her with a serious expression, saying, "I didn't break my promise. I didn't—" "All right, stop it," April interrupted him. If he continued, she would blush again. "Why? Are you shy? Erin held her hands, snorted, and continued. Last night when you carried me in your arms, why weren't you shy? And you told me that you were my elder sister. What kind of sister would hold her brother and moan like that? April threw off his hands and covered her own face. If she knew that he would remember everything, even when he was drunk, she would never do what she did last night. All right, enough of that. She changed the topic. Last night, Mr. Newman talked about Isaac and my family. How does he know those details? Did you tell him? Of course, April replied. We need more people to know how much harm you've suffered so that they'll find out that Isaac is a hypocrite. He'll fall into disrepute. If everyone knows that he's a backstabber, who will believe him? And who will be willing to cooperate with him? I really do admire you. Last night you made it so real. April gave Erin a thumbs up, saying, Isaac was so angry at you last night. You alone are as powerful as a company. You're wrong. My old company in the army is rather strong. I'm not comparable to it. Erin talked humbly, yet his face wore an obvious proud look. Compared with me, Isaac is just inexperienced. If the party didn't end so soon, he would make Isaac kneel on the ground and beg for mercy. Erin hated Isaac because the latter used to date his woman. This hatred would last even after he died. But of course he couldn't tell April so, because if he did, she might see him as a narrow-minded man. April, were you happy last night? What happened last night was just an appetizer. Erin held April's hands and then said, He destroyed you once, so I'm going to make him pay for that bit by bit. Unfortunately, I can't destroy Isaac and Rosaria right away. I wanted to finish Rosaria as soon as possible, but I didn't think that Isaac had been protecting her that well throughout the years. There's no damaging information about her, and she's never been played by any hidden rule. She went all the way straight to the top with the support of the Magma Group. Enough. April waved a hand. Once hearing Rosaria's name, she felt a fire burning inside her heart. Are you jealous of Rosaria? Erin's voice suddenly became cold. April was startled by him. Why should I be jealous of her? She said. I'm just mad because I lost to someone like that. Hearing that, Erin showed a better look, saying, There's no winning and losing. After all, Isaac is problematic. That's true. April nodded and said, Last night we sat next to Isaac. You told the organizer to arrange the seats that way, didn't you? Yes, he responded. April sighed and continued, He was so angry last night. I guess he believed that he could keep controlling me and bullying me, but never thought that I could meet someone better than him. Erin smiled and stayed silent. His woman was smart and a good student, but her EQ was a mess. Isaac wasn't only angry last night. Most importantly, he was sad. However, April didn't notice how pale his face was. Episode 158. You look like someone from the comic books. It was for the best that April didn't know. Erin would allow her to believe that Isaac had been manipulating her from the start and never once liked her. After about 10 minutes, the waiter served the room service breakfast order. It was the most luxurious set in the hotel, with a large variety and large portion size. April was famished. She then proceeded to gobble down a sunny-side-up egg, a slice of bacon, a glass of milk, and a bowl of fruit salad. After her tummy was full and satisfied, she looked up to catch Erin staring at her with a strange expression. She blushed and said, What are you looking at? Don't you already know about my voracious appetite? It's already 10 o'clock. I usually have my breakfast much earlier at 7. It's all right to eat more. I can afford it anyway. Erin sipped his coffee casually. I'm more curious about the reason behind why you have such poor stamina in bed despite your excessive diet. Erin blinked innocently. You're always saying that you're tired and you don't have the strength. Shut up. Stop right there. April's ears were turning red, and she quickly stuffed a piece of bread into his gaping mouth. If she didn't stop him then, she was sure that he would reenact the entire dialogue. Erin continued after chewing. Seems like diet isn't the problem here. You need more exercise. I think I have to move in with you after all. We can wake up at 6 in the morning to exercise together. If you have a problem with that, we can do it at night as well. I can bend my schedule around yours. April said with frustration, I've only just moved in with Winnie. How inconvenient would it be for her if you moved in? Exercise every day? She would never believe him if he said he meant normal exercising. That's true. You do scream very loudly. It'll be awkward if Winnie hears you. You have 2 choices. Move out and stay with me, or ask Winnie to move out. I would rent a luxurious mansion for her, Erin said seriously. Fat chance, April said simply. She realized that she shouldn't even give this man a taste of goodness. It would just leave him wanting more and more. Who was screaming loudly? She wanted to punch him. You've said so much. Are you just trying to get me to do that with you every morning? April glared at him. Who says? Aaron denied promptly. I do like what we did last night as well. April was really resisting the urge to punch him. What's the difference between what we did last night and this morning? Of course there's a difference, Aaron answered her seriously. One was with hands, the other with legs. It's a different kind of excitement. I can't be bothered to talk to you. I'm going to use the bathroom. April was going to explode with embarrassment. As she walked towards the bathroom, Aaron called out behind her. If you poop after you eat and eat right after you poop, that will make you resemble a certain animal. I like that, though. April stomped her foot in despair and chose to ignore him. What a swine with such a low EQ. Couldn't he tell that she was hiding in the bathroom out of embarrassment? When she emerged from the bathroom, she didn't feel like talking to him anymore. She fiddled with her phone with her head down. Did I do something wrong? Aaron sounded confused and earnest. Is it because I talked about the hands and the legs? Let's go find Brother Richard. He must be pretty bored by himself by now. April interrupted him and changed the topic. She had had enough of talking about the hands and the legs. Why do you care about his feelings? You're my woman. Aaron frowned with discontent and said, Besides, isn't Jennifer with him? Even that can make him unhappy. He's so sensitive. She closed her eyes to recall what he did for her last night, then forced a smile and explained, Last night, Jennifer told me that she needed to work in the morning at 10, so I guess she has left by now. So what? Richard can spend some time alone. He's got friends in here anyway, said Aaron. We're flying back tonight, so where should we hang out? April sighed and then said, If you keep doing this, sooner or later, you'll have no friends. That's not going to happen. Richard won't leave me, not even if I made him, he said. If one day he tried to leave, what would you do? She asked. He wouldn't dare, he replied. April silently picked up her purse and then said, Anyhow, let's go find him. Aaron seemed to be pretty unhappy, but still he followed April out. While walking out, Aaron took out his phone and found that Richard had called him. As he prepared to call him back and ask where he was, he suddenly saw Richard in the corridor before him, facing a mirror, baring his teeth while turning his face from time to time to observe himself. Richard, what are you doing? April walked up and asked curiously. I just found that I have a pair of dimples, Richard responded happily, as if he had discovered a new world. I looked in the mirror just now and found that I'm pretty handsome. April felt that Richard was acting so much like Aaron right now. Aaron frowned and said, Are you sick? Let me send you to a hospital. April gave Aaron an angry stare. You're even sicker. So how could you say that to Richard? Richard, haven't you always had dimples? Your smile is amiable, and you look like a boy from a landscape painting. I do? Richard's eyes glowed. Recently, little Benny has been depreciating me too cruelly. I was upset, but after hearing what you said, I'm confident again. Hearing that, April understood him. Indeed, living under Aaron's mean words wasn't an easy thing. How was your talk with Jennifer? She asked. Not bad, Richard nodded and said. Our offer is way better than the Magna Group's. Don't worry, this time the Magna Group won't have a chance. Richard, we're going to hang out. Do you want to come? April gently invited him to hang out with her and Aaron. Richard was going to nod, but before doing so, he suddenly received a gaze from beside him, which contained a feeling of strong hostility. He was so frightened that even his tongue twitched. I don't think so, he said. I still have something to do. You go. Later we'll have dinner together and then head to the airport. All right, then. After going separate ways from Richard, Aaron suddenly turned back to glare at April with a grumpy look and then asked, A boy from a landscape painting? How could you compliment another man like that in front of me? I'd never heard you use such nice words on me. April sighed. Ever since he became her boyfriend, she felt that he was turning younger and younger. Are you still a boy? She asked. Aaron opened his mouth but didn't say anything. Of course he was a boy. However, admitting that he was a 29-year-old boy would be shameful. All right, you said that he looks like a boy from a landscape painting. Then what kind of paint am I from? Tell me, seriously, he said. April struggled for a moment. She raised her head to look at his perfectly handsome face and then said, You look like someone from the comic books. The boys from landscape paintings are clean-looking, but the men from comic books are the dram of all girls. Episode 159. I want to be like a normal couple with you. Aaron was stunned. All the men in comics are hot-blooded. April frowned. I'm not talking about the kind of comics that men read. I'm talking about girly comics. That's enough. Go figure it out yourself. She walked forward quickly with a light step. Aaron frowned. Women like to put up an air of mystery around them. He had never read a youth comic before. He might not even fully understand or appreciate it. He quickly caught up with her. Where do you want to go? I've been to many places here before. There's nothing in particular that I want to see or do. We could go to Disneyland. I've never been there before, April suggested. What's so fun about Disneyland? Aaron knitted his brows. It's the weekend and it will be so crowded. You are quite peculiar. Girls your age are always thinking about going to malls to shop. No one enjoys the amusement park anymore. You seem to know women quite well, April said with a tense smile. I'm talking about my friends. Every time I try to ask them out, they tell me that they have to accompany their girlfriends to go shopping. Aaron looked at her with a desperation. April, you never ever want to spend my money. What will I do with all that money? Leave it for my children? Then you'll really have to give birth to a lot of them. April blushed. She couldn't believe he was talking to her about childbearing again. His conversations always leaped to topics related to that. I haven't liked shopping since I was young. I'm happy as long as I have enough to clothe myself. I enjoy things with my loved ones that we both enjoy, April said cheekily as she grabbed his arm. When she said, my loved ones, Aaron felt butterflies in his stomach. All right then, he didn't mind compromising since she loved him so much. On the way there in the company car, Aaron texted Sylvia, what kind of guys are the male leads in youth comics? Sylvia answered, extremely handsome and dashing. Aaron glanced over at April, who was sitting next to him, and grinned cockily. Why are you looking at me like that? April felt uncomfortable being stared at like that. No reason. Aaron turned away. She thought that he was extremely handsome and dashing. Forget it. He would not hold it against Richard for acting like a child. At Disneyland, the chauffeur bought them express tickets to save them from waiting in line. Aaron studied the pamphlet and highlighted a couple of exciting rides. He suggested them to April, and unlike other cowardly girls, she gladly agreed to check them out. She was thrilled by the rides and emerged from every attraction more adrenaline-pumped than before. Aaron was unhappy. After emerging from soaring over the horizon, he realized that most of the tourists in line were happy couples hugging each other tightly, sharing drinks and holding hands. They were taking their time to enjoy each other's presence in the long line. He frowned, and when they arrived at the next roller coaster, he grabbed her hand and said, "Let's go wait in line." "Why? The line is so long. We bought express tickets for a reason." April was flabbergasted. "I want to experience the life of an average Joe." April was speechless. The people in line would probably beat him up if they heard him. "Whatever, but I think the line takes about 40 to 50 minutes. Are you mentally prepared?" "Yes." Before they started waiting in line, he bought her an ice cream cone and refused to buy one for himself, despite April asking him repeatedly. As they waited in line, he was happily licking her ice cream cone. "Didn't you say that you don't want it?" April didn't understand. Aaron smiled and responded, "I like to taste your saliva." Hearing what he said, the couple next to them immediately turned to them with a weird look. April blushed instantly. The people waiting in line were pretty close to each other, yet he didn't lower his voice at all. "Here, you have it. I don't want it anymore." April pushed the ice cream to him. Aaron refused and said, "Why would I eat it if there's none of your saliva on it? I don't even like ice cream." April didn't know what to say. She believed that no one else could make the saliva-eating thing sound so reasonable. After finishing the ice cream, Aaron suggested, "Let's take selfies. You see, many couples are doing it. We don't even have couple pictures." While speaking, he took out her phone and started taking selfies. At first, they leaned their heads together, and slowly they put their faces together. Afterward, Aaron told April to kiss his cheek, and at last he directly ordered her to kiss his lips. April couldn't do it as she felt that more and more people were looking at them. Both of them were good-looking, especially him who was tall and well-dressed. He looked outstanding in the line that since he started waiting in the queue, many girls had already been sneakily looking at him. At that moment, almost everyone was eyeing him and April. "All right, stop taking pictures. Everyone's looking at us." April pulled his hands down and said in a low voice, "We'll take kissing pictures after going back, all right?" "I'm used to getting stared at since childhood," Aaron said carelessly. However, her soft tone of speaking nearly melted his heart. "We'll take the pictures after going back. That's a deal. Now let's check the pictures we just took." He put his hands under her arms, then held her and checked the pictures together with her. "This one is good. So is this one. You're pretty in this picture and in this one." Hearing him, April blushed again. "No," she said. "I don't think this one is good enough. I don't look good enough in the cheek-kissing one." "Don't be strict with yourself. I said that you're pretty, so you are. I allow you to choose one from these pictures for your screen." After saying that, Aaron began struggling. "But which one? I look perfect in every picture. I didn't notice it before, but now I find that being perfect can be annoying sometimes." "You allowed that, but I didn't agree, did I?" asked April. Aaron ignored her and said, "This one. I'll set your screensaver preference for you." April was speechless. She found that in addition to his narcissism, he now had a new skill that allowed him to completely ignore what others said. 40 minutes later, they were still waiting in line. April even got sore legs, so she couldn't help but complain. "We got a free pass, so why are we waiting here? I really want to sit down somewhere." "You're being spoiled by me," Aaron smiled and said. "The others with general tickets are all still waiting, aren't they?" April paused briefly and then felt that he was right. If she didn't come here with Aaron, would she ever be willing to pay for such expensive tickets? If he wasn't with her, she would still be waiting in the line. However, as he was always with her, she had gotten used to receiving preferential treatment anywhere she went. Aaron embraced her, but his lips near her ear, and said, "I wait here in the line because I want to be like a normal couple with you. You see, there are many young couples. I want to learn from them, and I want to know how college students date." Knowing that, April was touched. She sensed a warmth from her heart. She stopped complaining and silently put her arms around his waist. When he was around 20 years old, he was having a rough time in the army. In university in the United States, he needed to work hard because he was having a fresh start. Episode 160. What's going on? Are you having a fight? "Aaron, can I ask you something?" April looked up suddenly. "Have you had a girlfriend before?" Aaron looked her in the eye for a while before pinching her cheek. "Women, what a hassle. You guys get so hung up on all our exes." April peeled his hand off her face as if he didn't mind her ex. "Answer my question. Why do you ask suddenly?" Aaron smiled cheekily. "Of course I've had a girlfriend before." "Oh." Although she had already guessed his answer, she still felt uncomfortable and bummed. It was normal, of course. He was already 29 years old. If he had never had a girlfriend before, she would think that he was abnormal. "I dated when I was in the military." Aaron paused to think and continued. "I was way too swamped back then. We didn't get to see each other much. About twice a year. We mainly communicated through phone calls." "So, he didn't have a chance to do all of that with his ex. He was still a virgin." He couldn't say it in a straightforward manner as he felt mildly ashamed. However, April didn't get the memo and continued to probe. "You can hold prolonged conversations on the phone? You are quite the conversation killer." "We talked about war strategies, fighting techniques," Aaron said nonchalantly. That was one solid gal. If it were April, she would have hung up instantly once he started talking about boring strategies. She could tell that the girl really liked him. April asked after a long pause, "Do you still love her?" She looked him in the eye as she waited intently for his reply. "When you fall in love with someone, you become a very petty person." "Not anymore." Aaron wrapped his hands around her bottom and smiled gently. "Your cute angry face fills my heart and soul completely. There's no space for anything else now." April frowned. Cute angry face? The hell? She couldn't believe that he had been thinking about it all this time. "Shouldn't you say that I completely fill your heart and soul? Why are you always thinking about those things?" April said through gritted teeth. "Also, will you stop groping me like this in public? You said that your legs were sore. I just wanted to give you a hand." Aaron looked shocked before chuckling. "It doesn't make sense that I'm filled by you." Before April could fully understand what he was saying, his sly smile had already given it all away. "You can't fill me up, right?" Aaron looked downwards at her, another Aryan said thoughtfully, "Only I can fill you up, perfectly and tightly." April's blood was bubbling, and her ears were hot. "I meant your heart." "Oh, really? You didn't make yourself clear," Aaron said affectionately. "I misunderstood your intent." April was in disrepair. She wanted to bite her tongue off. She knew he was a dirty and horny man. "That's good, though. You fill my heart, and I fill your body." Aaron smiled gently. He wanted to gobble her up alive. April kept quiet. She was wrong. She shouldn't have asked him about his ex. Now she wished that she could dig a hole for herself. She gave up trying to resist him, and he continued to hug her with his hands on her butt. He held her to his body all the way to the end of the line when they boarded the roller coaster. It had been a full 20 minutes, and April was impressed by his resilience. They spent the whole day at Disneyland. They only left the place at about 6 in the evening. They had to miss the nighttime fireworks as they had a plane to catch at 9. April felt slightly regretful that they had to miss such a romantic opportunity. On their way back, Aaron comforted her. "It's all right. I'll build you an amusement park in the future." April smiled and leaned against his chest tiredly. They played the whole day, so she felt like her legs were nearly broken. She hadn't been so happy for a long time. During her college time in Rosewood City, she had only been to the amusement park once with her roommates at Annie's birthday. However, back at that time, she had her mind stuffed with how to regain a position in the voice acting industry, with her father and Isaac preventing that. Once again, she thought about Kenneth. Suddenly, she felt guilty. These days, because of Erin, she had barely thought about how rough Kenneth's life might be like in prison. She didn't dare visit her father in the prison frequently, as she worried that Isaac might find her. During the summer vacation, she visited her father only once in a disguise. "Erin?" She abruptly raised her face. "What?" Erin looked at April, who seemed to have spoken but stopped on a second thought. "Are you still thinking about the fireworks?" "No, I'm thinking about my father," said April in a complicated tone. Erin pressed his lips together, staying silent. April's heart sank, but still she sat up from his arms, made up her mind, and said, "Can I ask you a favor? This is more important than revenge on Rosaria and Isaac." "You want me to save your father?" Erin raised his brows. His tone and expression slowly turned serious. "Can you let me explain?" They hadn't been together for long, but April knew him well enough. As a rich and powerful man, he would never let his wealth and power become the reason for him to do whatever he wanted. He was upright, and he obeyed the laws. No matter how much he loved someone, he wouldn't violate the law and his own principles for this person. My father went to prison because Isaac testified against him in court. Isaac claimed that one day he saw a female student come out of my father's office with her clothes half torn off. April clenched her teeth and said, "If that testimony was from someone else, I might believe it, but it wasn't. It came from Isaac, who hates our family. I have many doubts, so I want you to investigate it again." Erin slightly frowned. A while later, he said, "You might be right. If the case really has some problems, I'll do whatever I can to clear your father's name, but if it's real..." April was more or less disappointed. Erin's reaction was reasonable, though. After all, he didn't know Kenneth, so he didn't believe in him completely, and that was absolutely normal. For any case, one witness's testimony can't be the only evidence to substantiate the prison sentence, explained Erin helplessly. There must be other witnesses and all sorts of evidence. But of course, all of that can be faked. Anyway, April, I don't want to lie for you. I only believe in evidence. But I'll dig into it for you. Thank you. April forced a smile. She had said thank you to him many times, but this time Erin detected that her thank you was different from what she said before. It sounded too polite. He felt a little uncomfortable, and he didn't know what to say. The chauffeur drove to pick up Richard. Richard got into the car and immediately sensed the weird atmosphere in the car. He was smart enough not to make a joke as he usually would. After dinner, they headed to the airport. In the restroom, he took the opportunity to ask Erin about it as April went to the bathroom. "What's going on with you two? Are you having a fight?" "Not really," Erin told him the whole story with simple words.